West Texas from Rattler Stadium. The Panthers rode to the Division I Class 5A championship begins. The opponent, the Lubbock Coronado Mustangs. It's a cloudy 60-degree day at Rattler. Wind south-southeast about 9 to 15 miles per hour and should remain that way throughout the game. We have a slight 30% chance of rain in the forecast. The Permian team, of course, the focus this week has been not only on the opponent, a very quality opponent with a record of 7-3 in Lubbock Coronado, but also some goings-on off the field. And Rick, that has to play on your mind as a player or a coach in your preparation for this game today.
I'm sure it has. There's no way that it couldn't. And a lot of activity, a lot of distractions, and the main thing that we're here to do today is that's what these kids played to get to, is this point and further, they all hope. And that's what we want to deal with today. Go on and see what happens. Here comes the flip, right, Rick?
All right, the flip, pregame flip is going on the field. And we'll see what the result is. The Permian captains on the field, Williams and Bass and Chance and Keaton and Garrett. Coronado receives, is that correct? All right, so Lubbock Coronado will receive to start the game. They will be defending the north goal and be moving in to the breeze that we said a moment ago, 9 to 15 miles per hour, probably should remain constant throughout the ball game today. The Permian Panthers' 21st playoff appearance. Lubbock Coronado, this is only the third time they have ever appeared in the playoffs. 1970, it was a short-lived one-game effort. 1991, also a one-game effort. And this will be the first time the Mustangs and the Panthers have ever hooked up preseason, regular season, or postseason. And where we go. Now the Panther cheering squad is very happy to have one piece of their squad back this week. That is the Mojo 7th flag over Texas flag that's on the track right now. We'll get a shot of it for you in just a moment. Last year, up in Lubbock in that quarterfinal game against Amarillo, somebody stole the flag. They haven't had it. They just got one remade. They raised the money to have the flag remade, and so this is the first appearance of the year for the Mojo 7th flag over Texas.
You think somebody has been assigned the task of not letting that out of their sight or something?
Guard that flag with your life.
You're right.
All right, Permian and Eric Stevens will be kicking off this afternoon. Back to receive the kick will be Bobby Vaughn, number 17. Vaughn is standing on his 5-yard line as I don't know why, because Stevenson does have the wind behind him. Also back there with Vaughn are Huanan Cunningham, number 25, and Patrick Gainey, who is the speedster, number 24, the district bell. You see, just made his appearance a moment ago. And this game is just about underway. We're going to look at the Permian defense as soon as the kickoff is done here in just a moment. We'll look at the Permian defense that will take the field to begin play this afternoon. And Stevenson gets his toe into it with a wind behind him, drives this one about 5 yards deep into the end zone, and Vaughn brings it out. Watch out for the fake. The ball is handed off to Gainey, and Gainey out to the 17-yard line. Here is the Permian defense that will take the field this afternoon as we begin play. Panthers defense will have Pinkstaff injured early in the week, but will get the starting nod today. He will be at the end with Jensen, Wharton, and Waters in the middle. Don't come much better than that. Hamilton, Garrett, and Cooney. Panthers also will have in the defensive backfield today Bass and Washington on the corners, and the safeties will be Brito and Montgomery. And we are underway. First play of the ball game. And the pass is complete to McGrew, who is the leading receiver on this Coronado team, Rick. And he's a player that I'm sure that the Panthers certainly need to be well aware of.
Well, they're not wasting any time getting up for the next one. Waylon Waters is in to tip that last one and break it up short. And this one, it looks like they were ready for it, too.
Yeah, they will be running a no-huddle offense today, and that's something that the Panthers have been well aware of. And you see they've already called the 3 plays. They're going to wait until everybody gets to the line and call the 3rd play and try to catch Permian off guard. It'll be a 3rd and 5 for quarterback Chad Reed and the Coronado Mustang offense. No pressure to speak of. Pass intended for, but not completed to Johnny Moss, the senior wide receiver. And Permian's defense has done the job. Rick, let's watch the replay, and the Coronado Mustangs will have to punt.
Watch the Permian. If you can see, the Permian front line is really in a hold situation, just trying to keep them up and in tight, making sure which way the ball might be going. You can see not a whole lot of penetration, but well covered defensive-wise.
All right, returning to play now as Reed gets his toe into it. This is a very poor punt, and there is a flag on the field. I took my eye off of what happened. Let's see, there is a flag on the field. We'll see what happened, apparently running into the kicker. And with Coronado needing a 4th and 4, even with a 5-yard penalty, that will be enough for a first down.
Seems like we had quite a bit of that in was it the last game? Or I think we had some of that in the last game, and it was running into, or we don't know if it's going to be running into, or what was the other one we had a problem with last week? I'm trying to
You can either run into or you can rough the
just
kicker.
rough the kicker, and we'll see what they're stepping off. They're stepping off the 5, and that's all they needed, isn't it?
Of course, you look at Coronado, they're already to the line. They're ready to go. That is going to be a first down for Coronado. And with the penalty, we'll move it out to the 28-yard line. The pressure put on by Waters. Reed simply puts it up, and this one can be picked off. It is by Sheldon Bass. I take that back by, this is by Rutledge.
Right.
Rutledge picks off the interception for Permian.
Took it out of his hands, Barry. That's what happened. The ball was up in the air. It was a floater, and Rutledge is waiting. You watch this play right now. Because of the pressure put on by Waters, he had to just chunk it up, and it is high, and there is Rutledge waiting, and he took it right out of the receiver's hands, and here he goes up the field.
Rutledge's second pickoff of the year, and for Permian, that is the 15th interception by the defense. And this will set the Permian offense up in very good field position at the Lubbock Coronado 46-yard line. We'll look at the Permian offense after this play. John Williams, the main back in the backfield. Greg Pinkstaff injured a knee early in the week, but he is ready to go. This one intended for and caught by Sheldon Bass. Bass up to the 28-yard line. A gain of 18 for Sheldon Bass from the 46 to from the 46 to the 28. And the first connection of the day between one of the most prolific pass receiving combinations in Permian history is good enough for an 18-yard gain on a Permian first.
Watch Bass pick this right out of the air. Oh, see, I thought I saw a little bit of face mask there. That's all that the the defensive person was able to grab a hold of, trying to hold Bass down.
The 52nd reception for Sheldon Bass this year. Here's the big, powerful fullback Williams banging up inside, down to the 22 for a gain of 6. Here's the Permian offense. Let's look at it right quick. Nick Keaton will be the quarterback once again. Williams and Pinkstaff in the backfield. Montgomery and Bass the wideouts. And Bass just a moment ago caught the first pass opportunity of the day. The offensive line, Burmis and Couch, Caden Jensen, Eddie Chance, and Alan Garrett at tight end. Also, Philip Elder will be alternating with Josh Burmis from the tackle spot series by series. Keaton intended for Montgomery and misread him as Montgomery pulled up just a little bit short. The pass falls incomplete.
Had Robert Taylor, senior 218, in putting a little pressure on Keaton at that time, but it seemed like the ball just kind of rolled off the side of Keaton's hand when he let that one go. He wanted it along the sidelines, but just a little bit too much.
Keaton completing 61.6% of his passes. 77 for 125, and Rick, a very important statistic is that Keaton has only thrown one pass interception this season, that against Midland Lee. 11 TD passes also on the year, and all but one of them have been to Sheldon Bass. Williams trying the outside, and the Coronado defense up there quickly to make the tackle. As defensively, Eric Pittman from his linebacking position is up to put the stops on the senior, and Permian now will either have to go for it on 4th, or as probably will be the case, go for the attempted field goal by Eric Stevenson.
Well, Pittman was able to make that stop because he's only a 163-pounder and had a real quick move. The blockers were in front of Williams at that time as he went around the end, but the block was missed because Pittman was able to just move out of the way of the block, and he was the one able to come up on Williams.
This will be a 41-yard attempt officially. Stevenson's best of the year is 38 against Midland High. He has his foot into it, and this is good. What a kick. Eric Stevenson, his 7th of 9, field goal opportunities and a career best from 41. So with 9:08 to play in the first quarter, Permian has jumped out to the 3-0 lead. Back to Ratliff in just a moment. The Permian drive, 5 plays in a minute 34 seconds, 22 yards, and of course a lot of it, 18 of it, was on the pass play on the first pass play of the game from Keaton to Bass. And Stevenson nails the career best 41-yarder, and he was really hitting them good in pregame warm-up, Rick.
During warm-up, we were watching him move it back and move it back and move it back, and finally got it to the out 52 yards away and was kicking them regularly, which doesn't surprise me with this one going through.
So Permian with a 3-0 lead. They come away with points after starting the drive inside Mustang territory. This kick will carry back into the end zone, and once again Coronado elects to bring it out as Q1 Cunningham breaks across the 20. This is Bobby Vaughn, and Vaughn finally brought down by Permian and by C.C. Harris all the way out to the Permian 47-yard line. If there is a weakness for the Permian team this year, Rick, it seems to be on the kickoff coverage.
They have not been able to, many times, catch the man coming right up the middle, and it's looked like a wedge. As you'll see, watch all of Coronado come back, pick up. Now, here's the handoff. Up the middle, here he goes. See, it's wide open up the middle. One man left in a pretty down open field tackle to save that touchdown.
Back to the field to play, and Coronado starts this series inside Permian territory. Pass is complete to the from the quarterback, Chad Reed, to his favorite receiver, Jimmy McGrew. Reed has completed about 63% of his passes to either McGrew or Moss. McGrew 45 for 693 and 11 TDs coming into the game. Moss has caught 42 and has not yet scored, but this one good for a 5-yard gain to the 42-yard line. Looking for the big ball. This one intended for way out to Jimmy Barnett, but this one thrown just a little bit long, and Coronado is not wasting any time between plays. Sometimes you think that might can hurt your offense if you can't really get in sync.
Well, if you don't have any production out of it, especially, they're going to get disgruntled, but it has a tendency to wear them out pretty quick, too, because there's no time to go back to huddle, get a breath, and then get back up. It works if you can get your defense messed up by it.
This will be a third and officially a long 4 for Coronado. This one banged up in the air by Eric Williams. Williams hit a defensive end, and Reed tried to fling it out there Bernie Kosar style, and the ball is batted away, and now Coronado will again have to punt.
Watch the replay. Williams is being blocked there by 69 and being blocked completely out, and one hand goes up and knocks it down. Saves that first down because there were some open people.
Now in practice this week, Permian coaches were yelling for those defenders to get their hands up in the air. Get them up in the air. Make him throw it over you. They felt like they could really control his effectiveness if he had to put a little bit more air under the ball. And now Coronado, with nothing to lose, trying to draw Permian offsides, couldn't do it. Had to call a time, and now the punt unit comes in. But something to be concerned about is that the quarterback, Reed, is also the punter. And if you're in a gambling kind of offense, you've got to really be aware of what the punter quarterback can do to you.
You definitely can if it's close enough. I don't know, not knowing and have seen Lubbock Coronado that much. Of course, we're seeing about them if they're willing to take a chance. They're probably not at this time during the game. It's too early. And they just want to get the Permian back deep. Don't take a chance of getting them good field position. They've already seen what happens. They turn the ball over once you get points. That's good.
Now, Coronado has had 2 possessions, started the first time from their 17. Had to punt, but a Permian penalty on a running into the kicker penalty allowed Monterey to keep it, and still had to punt away again, and then Permian, with the interception, was able to take over inside Lubbock territory. Now this one, again, kind of an ugly punt that goes out of the 22-yard line, a punt of only 20 yards from Chad Reed and Permian. Of course, he's kicking into the wind, but now Permian will start just a little bit deeper in their own end to the 22-yard line with their second possession of the day.
But that's 2 punts we've seen by Reed. Even though the last one didn't, the very first one didn't count because of the roughing penalty, they've both gone off to that side of the field. They've been bad punts.
Well, they controlled Williams the first time Permian had the ball. John only had two carries. Two carries, had 2 carries for 4 yards. But, of course, Bass did come up with a big play, and that led to the Permian field goal. Keaton fakes it back to Pinkstaff, and now Keaton on the carry himself. Keaton has 43 carries this year, 43 yards rather, in rushing, and this time from the 22 has carried all the way out to the 29, a gain of 7. And Permian now facing a 2nd and 3. Was that a mix-up in the backfield or a called play all over?
The way it looked, it was a called play, but that's it was kind of mixed up looking to me because you've got your quarterback Keaton, I'll get it out, leading the blockers. And he had the ball. So I think it was a messed up play, you know.
It had to be. There was nobody in front putting the blocks for him like he does in the Permian scheme. He does have the block to lead for Williams and sometimes Pinkstep. This one intended and caught by. Bass will have the first, and if they don't rack him up quick, then he could go for a long way, but Vaughn up there quickly. The gain is 11. Make that a gain of 12 all the way out to the 41-yard line.
Let's watch the replay, and something that'll get you right here, if you can see that, there's only one person out for a pass, and that's Bass. And they still can't cover him. Now, there's 5 guys over there right by him, as you saw in the replay. One man out, and they weren't able to stop Bass from getting the ball.
Well, Bass had 51 for 888, 17.4-yard average coming into the game. He's caught 2 already in the early going. Here is Pinkstep. Pinkstep kind of banged up a knee this week a little bit in practice. And kind of unsure if he had played today, but Greg, being the tough youngin' that he is out here playing hard for Permian. There is a flag on the field. Seems like that, I don't know, seems like a lot of the penalties come when Greg carries the ball. I don't know what it is. I mean, some of his biggest plays have been brought back because of holding penalties.
You know, Barry and I have been doing Permian's games for
Quite a while.
Odessa Cablevision, and many that are now being able to see this game have not had the opportunity to see any of Permian's games replay, but Pinkstep has been one of the workhorses that has carried it many times throughout this season for Permian, and as Barry said, he might start getting a feeling that every time he carries there's going to be a penalty. That seems to happen, and it's not him, but they're just trying as hard as they can to get Pinkstep loose.
Well, the holding penalty once again has moved Permian back to the 31-yard line. The hold and the motion by the Panthers on offense has really been biting them in the foot the last 2 or 3 weeks, and certainly want to make a change in that area. Williams trying up inside, and as he tries to cut back inside, the junior 242-pound defensive end Tony White gently sets him to the ground along with Jim McCulley, the safety number 11.
The play happened a little too slow that time. Williams was not able to bust through as he always does and gets his speed up real quick. Has that speed going when he hits the line. That time he had to try and make a decision of which way to go. It wasn't a clear blocking path, and that held it up long enough for him to react.
2nd and 17, a slow folding play. Only able to pick up 3. Permian needs to reach just beyond the 50 if they want to continue this drive. This one is intended for, as Bass cuts back inside, intended for Sheldon, and thrown just beyond the line of scrimmage, just beyond the line there, and incomplete.
That one got away from Nick just a little bit because Bass was there, the timing was there. When he turned around, the ball was there, but it was just too high and out of bounds.
So now Permian facing the 3rd and 17. Had that one been completed, would have still left Permian with about 5 yards or so for a first. But now the 3rd down play has to come up with the big play, or Permian will have to punt the ball away to the Coronado Mustang offense. 6:13 to play in the first quarter, and Permian with a 3-0 lead. Pitch back to Williams. Gets a great block by Pinkstep, and now Williams lowers the helmet, hits McCulley, brings McCulley to the turf. We thought we saw a flag in the field, maybe not. This carry will be out to the 41-yard line. They did pick up 7, but will be about 10 yards short of what's needed for a first.
Trying to catch the Mustangs off guard by running, because you would think with going for that much yardage, you'd throw the ball, but with Williams in the back there, you've always got that breakaway. I guess I was thinking there should be a flag on that out-of-bounds tackle.
Williams, 4 carries, 13 yards here in the early going, and Lenny will have his first punt opportunity of the afternoon. Lenny averaging about 33 yards per kick. And this one, McGrew gathers in at the 22-yard line. McGrew's very dangerous, the 37-yard punt. High enough that the coverage team could get down there. Last week, McGrew took one back 70 yards for a TD against Lubbock High, and Permian certainly aware of that. And you either kick it away from him, kick it out of bounds, or kick it so high he doesn't have a chance to do anything with it.
In practice, we were also noticing Lenny getting it up very high and a lot of hang time, and that may be why.
So Coronado's offense, let's see if they continue with a no-huddle variety. We'll start this one from the 23-yard line. The handoff inside to Cunningham. Cunningham caught by Garrett and Washington. Q1 Cunningham. That's Kewuan Cunningham. But folks, that ain't nothing. Wait till number 20 comes in the game, and you ain't heard no name till you heard that name.
Some very nice blocking going on up there on behalf of Lubbock. They're really holding and opening up some holes right now. They've got a real quick offensive line. Not big, but real quick.
Now, Permian does have the 6 defensive backs in the game as Nichols and Rutledge have come in. This one, oh my goodness, Bass had it go through his hands, and had he been able to come up with it, all he had to do was beat Tim McGrew, the junior offensive tackle, to the end zone for a score, and I bet against Bass every time, and this one just simply slipped through his hand.
Well, he's looking upfield already. I mean, he knew he had it. There was no doubt about it, and in fact, he felt so confident about it, he was already looking for the touchdown, and he feels worse than anybody, I'm sure.
Now, 3rd and 8 is what the Monterey Mustangs are facing. This will be the little quick shovel pass inside of McGrew. McGrew has great speed, breaks out across the 35-yard line to the 37, and from there, Aaron Washington able to put the stops on him, but that crossing pattern has really caused Permian a lot of trouble the last couple of weeks.
Whether it comes in a shovel-type pass or whether it comes in this, they've had some trouble with it. Of course, it's a great deceptive play. I mean, you see the quarterback dropping back because the pressure's on him. You can think it's going to be a screen or whatever. This has worked quite a few times.
Montgomery made the initial hit, and then Washington up quickly to help out and brought the player to the turf. This is Cunningham, breaks loose back in the backfield, and Morton and Waters and the rest of the defensive mates come up quickly to help put the stop on him, but just simply shook a tackle attempt by Jensen in the backfield. Jensen had across a hold of the collar, but wasn't good enough.
A lot of speed in this backfield. A lot of speed on this Lubbock team all the way. They're reacting quick, and they're hitting the line real quick.
It'll be 2nd and 5 after the 5-yard gain by Cunningham. Reed has the time. Not much pressure here. It comes late. And this one intended for, but falling away from number 46, Matt Bratcher.
Well, they had Jimmy McGrew going down deep, and he's trying to do almost a pick play because you've got 2 other receivers doing a short out pattern with McGrew going deep, and McGrew goes right by the defenders to try and mix them up. Pick play, trying to get the defense off.
Now, Monterey, I keep saying Monterey for some reason. Lubbock Coronado has already attempted 9 passes, and we still have 4.5 to play in the first quarter. This pitch back to number 20, Inyang Udo Ima, and Udo Ima met Alan Garrett. Hello, Udo Ima, meet Mr. Garrett, and Garrett brings him to the turf. Here he is. Before he can really get any speed going, look at that. Garrett just grabs a hold and dives him into the turf, and now Lubbock Coronado will have to kick after Udo Ima was unable to get enough for the first.
You couldn't wait to say the name. That's what it was.
I like the first name, Inyang.
Let's watch this toss back. The first one was high. This one was not. Good back to the kicker.
And the high punt drives Sheldon Bass back inside the 15. You can see the disgust as he has to basically call for the fair catch at the Permian 13-yard line. This punt carried a little better, 43 yards for Chad Reed. And Permian has had 2 offensive opportunities. The first resulted in the field goal, the 41-yard career best for Eric Stevenson. Second result in the punt. And Permian seems to a little slow getting the offense going the last couple of weeks, but once they do get rolling, you can look for good things.
There's no doubt about it. Once they get where they feel good about what's happening, get used to the defense, see what's happening, hang on to your hats.
This is at the 13. I said the 12. Cody Kidd, number 15, has checked into the ball game. You might look for a pass in his direction in a moment if Sheldon Bass is covered. Pinkstaff is rocketed to the turf by Lubbock Monterey's cornerback Cody McDonald. What a rude awakening, I swear.
There's some big hits. Like I say, you've got a quick defensive line, you got a quick offensive line, but coming behind is how he was trapped and caught and brought down. He still picked up about a yard on the play.
A hard-fought yard as Taylor combined with McDonald to hold Pinkstaff to a pickup of only 1, and now Permian 2nd and 9. 3:20 to play in the first quarter. Keaton, just a little off in his passing here in the early going. This one intended for, but not able to be brought in by Sheldon Bass. And Keaton 2 of 5 for 30. Let's look and see what Reed has. Reed has 3 of 9 for 22.
Same pass they've done many times this year, just a little bit behind Bass. He has to try and come back to even make the catch, so it brings up a big third down for Permian. Permian really needs to start something happening, get that continuation drive, get a good drive going against the Mustangs.
Well, what wind we had early in the game is basically just blown itself out because there is very little wind at this point in time. And again, this one intended for and caught by Bass. Bass shakes away from one, but he will be well short of the first down as Permian needed to reach the 23-yard line. Back quickly, peeling back from his defensive end position was Jones. And Permian, after the gain out to the 19-yard line, the gain of 5, but Permian will have to punt.
Watch the play. It's almost the same thing. A little deeper drop by Keaton this time. Catches Bass. Is still behind him. Bass makes a nice catch, but what's happening are they are really shading Bass's side of the field heavy as far as the defensive backs are going. Should open up this other side, and I'm sure the coaches will see that pretty quick.
So Lenny, who first time around got off a 37-yard punt, is asked to do again what he can to pin Coronado deep. And McGrew, look at this. McGrew had the room to run, but Rick instead elected early to call for the fair catch. But Lubbock Monterey, after the 38-yard punt, you notice what's happening every time they're kind of moving up the field. They started the first time back on their 17. They started on the Permian 47 after the kickoff a moment ago, the 23, and now this drive will start on their own 43-yard line.
Only points made in this game so far have been on a turnover. So does that mean there's got to be a turnover to make points? I don't know yet.
Yeah, this offense of Lubbock Coronado is led by Chad Reed, son of Joe Reed, used to play for the 49ers and the Detroit Lions. Also the brother of Chip Reed, who led Coronado to their second playoff appearance ever a couple of years ago. Reed hands off inside. This one to Patrick Gainey. Gainey, number 24, and coming into the year, Gainey only 120 yards rushing. Cunningham, the leading rusher for the Mustangs, 507 yards, one score. Udo Ema, 409. Then you have Gainey with 120, White with 103, and Reed with 37, among others. But this pass, this team throws a lot more than they run. And look at the pressure. Here he comes! Holy cow! Patrick Cooney! Cooney, hello! Somebody left the linebacker uncovered, and Cooney, you know, just had to be licking his lips. Yes, he came rumbling across the barren landscape toward the quarterback, and nobody touched him. Look at this.
Look at the look in his eyes.
You know what he's thinking, Rick? Just don't throw the ball.
No.
Just don't throw the ball. Give me time to get there.
And it's a wonder. It's a good job Chad Reed did just to hold on the ball, because most people would have lost it.
Now the loss is 6 after the tremendous sack. Then they say the loss is 8. Reed, oh my goodness, should have been.
There it is.
Here's a penalty.
There it is.
This could be offensively.
It should be.
It should be offensively, as the cornerback Washington had his beat on it. Probably should have come away with it, but let's wait and see what the call is. It could be against the Permian defense.
Pay attention now. He's already got him wrapped up before the ball gets there. It's got to be. Yeah, they're already walking him back. Good call out there. Because it was interception city. It was right into the middle, but he had his arms wrapped around him already.
Now they're going to have to discuss this one, Reed, along with Garrett and Bass up, and Bass is shaking his head. They're saying the pass was incomplete. What do you do, Coach? You take the penalty, you give him another play, or you take the play, and it'll be 3rd and 18.
Take the down.
Coach, we'll see if Coach Wood is correct. You have to coach what, Fort Stockton?
No. El Paso.
Well,
no. Fort Stockton wouldn't have me. That's
all right. And Coach Wood does make the correct call this time. It was pass interference on the offensive back. On the offensive back, and who was on the back of the defensive back, right?
Oh.
Okay.
Oh. Very good comparison.
Was that second down or third?
That was third.
Okay,
yeah.
Third down. Now it's 4th. And Coronado will have to punt. Reed does get his foot into this one. This was a lot better. And Caltron Montgomery, the short man, comes up with it. Permian now will start things out at the 38-yard line after the 31-yard punt. That was a strange sequence of events there. The Permian, though, comes away with pretty good field position.
And that was a risky catch there by Montgomery, because he had 3 or 4 people around him, and that's one of the toughest catches to make when you've got half the other team standing there watch you make the catch. You know you've got to make it, and he did and still ran. So
what do you do? Do you go back to the running game immediately, or you try to go up top and catch him on a big play? You've got the wind, what wind there is behind you. A minute and 6 to play here in the first quarter, and you only have a 3-0 lead. You think the events of the week are kind of still keeping them down just a bit?
No, I don't think so. I think it just takes a little time to get used to another team. Here you've got Williams going around for the run, and there's been the majority of your strength this year has been in the run, and you've gained a lot of yardage that way. So I don't think it's because of the wind or whatever you make that choice. Where's your strength? Where's your biggest strength? That's what you play.
Now, the strength this year has really been twofold. It's been the running of Williams, 1,500 yards, 6.8 per carry. 20 scores. You've got Keaton, 1,178 yards passing, and 888 of that has been to Sheldon Bass, and Sheldon Bass has caught 66% of Keaton's completions. Pinkstaff. I like that kid. Boy, just head on. Come on, bring that linebacker. I'll show him what I'm made of. Eric Pittman and Pinkstaff one-on-one, and Pinkstaff looks like he may have just enough of the first.
Yeah.
They say he does in Permian, first down at the 49-yard line.
Watch him duck that head. Watch him right here. Oh, boom. Give me that extra yard. Right there's all I need. I see that first down marker. That's tough football out there, guys. This is what we're all about here today. I can guarantee you that.
Now the clock is ticking down inside of 15 seconds to play in the first quarter. And Permian with a 3-0 lead. They have a new set of downs to work with, 1st and 10. This one intended for, there's a pressure coming, and Keaton thought he was going to get it away for a moment. Instead, pulled it back. The pressure got to him, and we have come to the end of the first quarter of play. So at the end of one, Permian with the lead over Lubbock Coronado by the score of 3-0. We begin the second quarter of play. Leads this one by a score of 3-0. You see the big Gatorade splash on the field there. You can see the big spot on the carpet between the 40 and 45. In the Friday night game, I think they had a two-way game being played at Ratliff, and they dumped the Gatorade on the coach's head in celebration after the game. And that sticky stuff just takes a while to get rid of,
especially with the cloudy weather.
Yeah, there's no sun whatsoever. Williams, the pressure gets to him inside, and he breaks away from the initial wave as Pittman got back there quickly. But as he cuts back inside, Ryan Price, the middle linebacker, able to put the stops on in the net gain for Permian, only 2, and Permian now with a 3rd and 8.
It's not because blocking isn't happening. As far as Permian goes, the blocks are being made. But what you'll see this Mustang team come off that block quicker than some of the other teams and react. Sometimes they are blocked down and still making the play.
Yeah, this team probably matches up weight-wise and size-wise with Permian better than anybody has this year. Permian almost always is outweighed. And Keaton sacked for only the 5th time this season. As Robert Taylor able to beat his block and put Neaton to the turf back at the 40-yard line. This is a loss of 12 for Nick Keaton. And as we said, only the 5th time this year that Permian has not been able to hold the blocks.
Really plugged up the front and couldn't go anywhere. He was looking downfield, of course, and that's, you might call the help of that as a coverage sack. But Keaton had nowhere to go. Again, the speed catches him.
And now Lenny, this is kind of uncustomary for Permian, as Lenny now will punt for the 3rd time, and we have just begun the second quarter of play. Rush being put on by Roland, but the punt does get away, and now look at this great punt and great roll, as this one will go out of bounds at just about the 23-yard line. And so now Lubbock, after the 37-yard punt, will take over.
Isn't that what you're supposed to do with a punt? I mean, get it out of bounds, get a good roll, and Lenny's been doing his job. Keep it away from the guy, mainly.
At the end of the first quarter, Permian had 66 yards of offense to only 25 for Lubbock Coronado, and 3 points on the board, but
not a whole lot of offense.
No, just a little.
Either way,
a little sluggish on both sides of the ball. But Coronado and Permian's defense both seem to be playing fairly well so far today. Quarterback Reed with Moss in motion, and they hand off inside to Udo Lima. Udo Lima breaks out across the 25-yard line. Wharton comes rolling into the picture late, literally.
Need to watch. I'm trying to pay a little more attention to this, the way that Coronado is blocking on that right end. Now watch the replay, if you will, because that right end is down. And you see there's nobody there to react. There's a linebacker, the cornerbacker down. So they're really doing a good job of bringing Permian in and opening that end.
Now Permian electing to go with the 2 linebackers out of the game and bringing in Rutledge and Nichols. It caught Permian in a situation where you had the 5 men trying to take care of the line of scrimmage. That's Garrett, Pinkstaff, Waters, Wharton, and Jensen. And when you catch them in that kind of motion, Rick, then sometimes you can get a mismatch, and that's where you pick up the big yards.
That's really what happened there, too, because it's been wide open. That pass didn't do a whole lot for him, but that's something to watch out for because it's a little flat pass.
This will be 2nd now and 9, and here's the pressure from Jensen. Jensen chasing the quarterback, and Nichols, we'll look at the mismatch on that. Nichols, let's see how big is Nichols goes about 5'6", 146. Kevin Monroe is a junior, goes about 6'4", 245. And look who brought who to the turf.
Well, it showed size didn't matter on that one because Nichols had him wrapped up and knocked the ball away. The pressure, of course, was put on by Travis Jensen, and it was a rush pass. It was complete. Just couldn't hold on to it because of Nichols.
Now 3rd and 9 is what Lubbock Coronado needs for the first. Reed dropping back, hits the crossing pattern again. This again is McGrew, and McGrew breaks into the open. McGrew has 1 man to beat him. Tito Brito brings him to the turf, out to the 40-yard line. But for Lubbock Coronado, this is a gain of 23. And more importantly, they break into Permian territory with a first down.
Okay, watch the replay. There's that cutback again, and he slices across the middle. This time he's able, though, to cut outside instead of coming straight across to the other sideline. He cuts back towards the same sideline from where he came, and it did. Tito was the last man to get a hand on him.
Now, this Coronado combination of Reed and McGrew, every bit as deadly as the quarterback combination of Keaton and Bass, and now Udo Ema breaks inside, and running against the 5-man front, and the 6 defensive backs breaks out inside the Permian 35 to the 34-yard line.
I think we're seeing a few more missed tackles than we've seen in some of their prior games, trying to grab a hold of. Now, of course, again, folks, I haven't personally noticed a team as quick as this one is that they played against this year, so that surely has something to do with it.
This will be inside the Gainey, and again a missed tackle in the backfield by Couch, as Couch had to peel back, and it looked like Brito was able to make the tackle. The linebackers have come back in, as you see Cooney, number 38, there on your screen, but that's enough for the first, as Coronado down to the 29-yard line.
Big drive for...
Some interesting inflammatory comments today in the Lubbock paper concerning the game today between Permian and Lubbock Coronado. We'll get to those in just a minute. Rick has the sheet in his hand. And right now, Coronado, a very formidable opponent. Chad Reed back to pass, and off the receiver's hands, and Montgomery broke late, or may have been able to come up with the INT. Cooney peeling back, intended for McGrew, falls incomplete.
Well, here's what some of them have said. Well, let's look at the replay first. Here's the pass going across. He is open. It's a little high, and I think he's glad he didn't catch it because he got separated pretty quick anyway. But here's what was said. Coronado is confident it can make Odessa Permian disappear from the Class 5A playoffs. That's one line. There's some more we'll talk about later.
The quarterback had something rather inflammatory to add to that. Little mix-up in the backfield. Udo Ema has his ankle grabbed by Jensen. Jensen fighting off the block of Grant Perry. Grabbed a hold of an ankle and was screaming for his mates, come and get him, come and get him.
Well, he had a blocker on top of him. Watch this replay. Jensen's down on the ground. He's got a blocker laying on top of him, and he still grabs the leg. And the blocker is trying to say, let go of that leg, let go of that leg.
Not Thanksgiving yet, let go of that turkey leg.
Nice tackle.
It is 3rd down after the loss of 1. Great play by Jensen on the big back, Udo Ema. I'll say big back is about 175, and now the quarterback, Reed, drops back, has a man open, but this one is too tall. Intended this time for Barnett, number 15, and defensively, Rutledge, along with Montgomery and Nichols, back there for him. If they go for the field goal, this field goal attempt will be about a 47-yarder.
There it comes across, again, just too high for anybody to try and get, but the important part you saw there was Montgomery was in between the quarterback and the intended receiver. He was ready to break it up. Now, we saw again in warming up, their field goal kicker was kicking some 40-yarders, not quite the length of the other, but apparently they're not choosing to do that.
Now, Nicholas remains on the sideline. He does have 6 field goals to his credit, including a long of 40 against Lubbock Estacado, but apparently Reed didn't like what the defense was showing him, and they called a timeout. So with 7:52 to play before halftime, Permian leads this one at Ratliff by a score of 3-0. And Butch Henderson elect to try the field goal attempt with Dustin Nicholas. Nicholas, the 169-pound senior. And this will be a 47-yard attempt, and now Permian doesn't buy it. And they call the timeout, maybe to ice the kicker or maybe try to figure out what this Coronado offense is trying to do to him. But Nicholas really wasn't probably kicking the distance that Stevenson was before the game. Stevenson, you said about 52. What about...
He was kicking 52. We saw the Mustangs kicking from 30 and making it fairly regular. But as he moved further back, he seemed to try and get height on it, which he needs to do and try and get over the line. But when he in doing that, he didn't have the strength to get it far enough. And he was coming about 5 to 10 yard shorts, depending. He made one out of about 5, I guess.
Well, he does have 6 field goals, as we said, to his credit. The long was 40. That was way back in the first week of the season. Has been a formidable weapon for this Coronado Mustang offense, and if he makes it, will be a career best. Permian with a 3-0 lead, and this will tie the game if he can manage to get it through the uprights.
That's a long kick for high school, I'll tell you.
From 47 yards out, Dustin Nicholas. The snap is back, and he has the distance by far, and this one is right through the middle, but there is a flag on the field. Did you see him roughing the kicker?
No, I did not see that. I was watching the ball. I'm sorry.
Well, maybe Permian was just a little bit eager to get across the line of scrimmage before the ball was snapped. Let's check this one out.
Boy, that could have been a 70-yarder. I mean, he had plenty on that
Oh,
one.
man, he popped that one through the uprights.
That adrenaline was moving. Let's watch this on replay. You can see it. We'll see what happened. It seems they're going to go against Permian, of course, and it did.
Okay, let's see.
Yep, there he is.
Now you can see Kidd coming into the kicker and using the old coach's axiom, you don't take the points off the board. The field goal is good for Nicholas from 47 yards out, and with a 7:47 to play before half. Our score is tied up at Permian 3 and Lubbock Coronado 3. Minutes and 44 seconds and 10 plays resulted in the field goal, and are you saying you'll see the zip in the Permian players here in the early going?
They seem to be kind of off kilter just a little bit, and what they really need to get is to get a good solid drive under their belt, to feel good about it, and move against this Coronado team. This Coronado defense has been doing a pretty good job against the Panthers so far.
Yeah, but there's an area that Permian, I think, going into the game felt they could exploit was going to be the Coronado defense. But so far, as Rick just mentioned, ain't been the case.
Hadn't been yet, but this game is, of course, far from over, and Permian still has their shot. Permian has all the answers, as you said. You know, we said, do you go for your strength? And as we talked about, they have 2 strengths, running and passing. So this really puts the onus on the Coronado team. They've got to defense both and be ready for both.
Well, against Abilene Cooper, Permian trailed 7-6 at the half. Against Lee, they were tied 7-7 at the half. Other than that, the really closest games 10-3 against El Paso Coronado. That was way back in the first week of the season. Other than that, most of the first halves have gone Permian's way. We got a TV timeout?
Well, no, yeah, the referee did call it. He's over discussing what happened, I guess, on that penalty. I think the coaches from Coronado thought they were going to get the penalty on the kickoff, possibly, but that didn't happen.
Nope. Now, if it would have been an extra point, you can,
yeah,
but not on that particular play. You get a choice of either or. No penetrations by either team. Permian reached the 22 of Coronado, and Coronado reached Permian's 29, but neither team has been able to break the 20. And then, of course, being in the playoffs, penetrations, first downs do come into play if the total score is tied. Bass takes this one inside the goal line, and he breaks out across the 20, across the 30. Sheldon Bass has 2 men to beat, and had it not been for having to fight off the man at the side, then Sheldon Bass may have taken this one all the way. As it is, Sheldon returns this one out to the 42-yard line from 5 yards deep, and Rick was shaking his head as the ball was gathered in. No, don't do it.
It scared me to death. You know, this is something, because he's driven way back deep into the end zone, okay? And he still comes out. I guess he knows more than I do, especially if he hadn't had the one-man cut in with the angle on him, he could have gone all the way, and that was Udo Ema again. The speed is what's catching him.
Udo Ema did a great job of pushing Bass to the side and turning him around and forcing him to cut the Jets just enough to allow the other Mustangs to catch up. And now Permian in great field position. Here's the reverse by Sheldon Bass, who had one carry going into play this afternoon. And that one carry for Permian was for good for 26 yards. This one will go for probably a little bit more of a modest gain from the 42 for the 46, only a gain of 4.
Does it surprise you, Barry, so far that we haven't seen a whole lot of running out of Williams?
Williams has attempted 6 carries today for 18 yards. And
they may be keying on him, of course, too. Speak of him.
Whoa! So a flag on the field or just a yellow piece of towel down there on the sideline?
Must have been just a towel because I didn't see anything thrown. And here's what's happening. When Williams carried the ball, we were talking about him not carrying. What they've done, it seems, they're keying, of course, because they're stretching this thing out all the way. They're coming up so quickly to hold the corner. So so Williams cannot turn it. He just cannot get it upfield.
Well, Williams, after the yard loss, certainly kept in check, but of course with any great back, Rick, you just give him one opportunity, one chance to get through a crease, and you're right yourself looking at the backside of a jersey with 36 written on it.
You're so right.
This is a loss of 1, and now Permian will have a 3rd and 5. It's going to be a long 5, closer to 6, as Permian needs to reach the 48 of Coronado. And look at the pressure. Keaton has absolutely no time at all to throw. This is something we haven't seen from Permian all year, as Keaton has absolutely no time to look for a receiver, as Tony White and the rest of his mates break in on top of quarterback Keaton.
This was that 201-pound Daniel Smith, I think, was pushing also and against Jamie Kane and Chance, and were not able to keep him out. Again, that quickness. I don't know how much I can talk about that, but to me, that's making a difference.
Yeah, so far the battle of the offensive and defensive line is being won by Lubbock Coronado's Mustangs. Lenny has this one blocked. Oh my goodness, Lenny. And Coronado comes up with the ball at the 3. Somebody needs to touch him or he can get up and run. No, I take that back. In high school, you can block it, drop on top of it. And Lubbock Coronado comes up with a huge play, blocks the Lenny punt, and recovers it at the Permian 3-yard line.
Watch the toss is high. He jumps a little bit, but he's still taking the long step. He needed the quick one, but again, here's that speed. They're in on top of him, block it. Lenny tries to get back and do it. Not quick enough.
Cooney back there to lend what help he can. But Monterey comes up with thus far the play. Monterey, Lubbock Coronado, comes up with thus far the play of the game as they are in great field position at the Permian 3-yard line. Looking for it all. Reed has his man McGrew, and this works for the Lubbock Coronado touchdown.
Big touchdown, too. This is one of the first that has actually gone in. What's the first? The game, of course. This one works to perfection. There's the big receiver. Carries, just gets a piece of that goal, and that's all he needs.
Now McGrew's 12th TD of the year. And for the quarterback, Chad Reed, his 14th passing a touchdown of the year. And now Nicholas, 22 of 28 in the extra point category, puts through his 23rd, and Lubbock Coronado with a surprising lead of 10-3 on Permian. 5:58 to play before half. We'll be back to Ratliff in a moment. There has been the domination on the line of scrimmage by Lubbock Coronado, and that resulted just a moment ago on a block kick. Recovery at the Permian 3, and it took just one play, the 3-yard pass from Reed to McGrew. And we didn't get to the quarterback Reed's inflammatory comments earlier. We'll get to those next time Lubbock has the ball, but right now it's Coronado well in control, 10-3. This one way back deep. And here comes Bass again. Bass out across the 10. Bass to the 15. To the 20. Sheldon Bass has one man to beat if he can get a block. One man to beat. And the one man makes the tackle. What a great play by the kicker, Nicholas, the barefooted kicker. Really, Sheldon probably should have slowed down and let the man make the block for him, but instead tried to take him on one-on-one. And Nicholas able to come up with a big play at the Lubbock 38-yard line.
Well, he had a blocker running beside him, but I couldn't catch the number on it. But the blocker, of course, was fast as speed, couldn't catch up with him. The problem was, coming behind him, here comes the speed of the Mustangs again. So he couldn't hold a whole lot, so he just had to take what he gets. Beautiful run back for back.
Well, Sheldon obviously has seen something in the run-back defense of Lubbock Coronado. And DeFernand is able to come out across the line, and Permian, of course, would have probably started on the 20, instead starts deep in Lubbock territory. Here is Pinkstaff, and Pinkstaff breaks this one for the Mojo touchdown.
Pinkstaff, my man, goes off the left side, and he goes through it like a big piece of butter. I mean, that's
bad knee and all. 38 yards, Greg Pinkstaff's biggest run of the year. And Pinkstaff's second touchdown of the season. 44 for 220 coming in. He takes those bad old gimpy knees and gallops 38 yards for a badly needed Permian score.
Wake-up call was just given, I think, by Permian to the Coronado defense and said, hey, guys, now we're going to play some ball.
That's right. Keon Williams, by golly, I'll make you pay. The extra point attempted. And it's good. Stevenson's 37th consecutive extra point. And now with 5:39 to play before half, we're all tied up at Permian 10 and Lubbock Coronado 10. Well, Permian and Lubbock Coronado each now have a penetration. I'm going to start calling them Mustangs. I'm having enough trouble. I don't know what the deal is. Maybe I read the paper today too much about the Cooper game Friday night. But Permian now all tied up. Watch out for that star return. It's going to be hard to set up from the side. This is McGrew. I take that back, Cunningham. And Cunningham out to the 31-yard line. It looked like Eric Williams and Hamilton able to come up and make the tackle on him, but we do have a flag on the field apparently.
There is a flag, and as Barry mentioned, the star system or star handoff is what is being used when they have time, and that's the crossing of the various receivers that are possible, and they're going to hand off to their quick man. We've got holding being called against the Mustangs.
And the Mustangs, after what appeared to be great field position from their 32, will instead begin this play back on the 22-yard line in Permian with a big wake-up call.
Yeah, that's what we were just talking about. I felt that a bell needed to go off somewhere. It was kind of like Permian was in the game, but they weren't quite in the game. And I think that touchdown made by Coronado was the wake-up call, because it said, whoops, hey, here we go. And it took him, what'd you say, 8
seconds? I tell you, he galloped pretty darn nicely down that side, had one man to beat. Greg just almost busted one against Abilene Cooper, had one man to beat, and, you know, he really, I think, was upset about that. He really wanted that. Well, he got him one now. 2 scores for Greg this year after that one. Still Reed with a lot of time, and this one comes Bass. Sheldon Bass with his 8th interception of the year. And for Reed, who's had just a little bit of trouble in the interception category, his 14th interception. What do you think he was thinking? It looked like he was throwing toward the floor instead of the old jersey.
He was. The jersey was there. But he overthrows him. That's what he did. He led him too much, and there's Bass. You cannot make a mistake against the Permian defense as far as the pass goes. If it's a little off, if you watch the passes and the replays we've had on most of these, defense has been there for Permian, in between, around the pass receiver, everywhere. One mistake will cost you.
Now it's up to the Permian offense to make this one work. But here comes a flag. What's that for? It looks like a flag like that would be called because of too much time, and really the first play of the drive. It's kind of hard to make that call.
I think it's going to go against Permian moving on line.
Yep.
Yeah, I think we had I don't know if he went down, you know, where they can go down their knees and then go down too far or something like that. I don't know what it was, but apparently somebody moved.
So Permian, after the penalty, will instead start this series of plays from the Lubbock 25-yard line. But still a great play by Greg Pinkstaff to put Permian at the pull Permian within the up to a tie, and then the interception by Bass, number 8. Now starts this series of plays for Permian deep inside the Mustang territory. Williams up the gut. And Williams met head-on by middle linebacker Price. And powers into the turf for no gain.
Definitely did. I think they're really keying on Williams, and rightfully you would. If he's your main running back, he's gained all these yards, of course you're going to key on him and say, this is a guy that's going to try and get as much as they can. So watch him, stick with him. It's your job to make sure he doesn't get anywhere. And so far, they've done a very good job of that.
4:56 to play, and the clock is counting before halftime. We're tied up at 10-10, Permian. And Lubbock Coronado is now second and 15. Pinkstaff, as he's trying to pick his way through. Once again, Price comes up to put the stop on him. Along with Tony White, this game will be up to the 20-yard line, and Permian now will have a 3rd and 10.
Pinkstaff has been what we've called all season long. You know, he's been kind of the off back that is going to get the call every now and then and try and get those hard yards. And it looks like what we've got is Permian calling a timeout, Barry.
Now, there is a timeout on the field, and we have 4:22 to play before half with our score tied at Permian 10 and Lubbock Coronado 10. Third time ever in the Lubbock Coronado history that they have ventured into the playoffs. 1970, lost to Palo Duro in by-district. 1991, were beaten by San Angelo Central in by-district. And now in 1993, here they go again for Permian. This is their 87th playoff game. Keltron Montgomery with the big play with a first down, and this will be a gain of about 16. And Montgomery, after the catch from Keaton, has Permian knocking at the door once again.
Watch him go airborne. Keltron goes airborne. It's a perfect pass by Keaton. He's right there, right with him. Now watch him as he goes airborne. There he is. Good hit. Nice catch.
And for Keltron, that was his 20th catch of the year. Of course, Bass, the main man in the passing offense, but you watch him too closely, Montgomery certainly can hurt you. And once again, Permian trying to battle up inside as Williams has found himself bottled up play after play. This Lubbock Coronado defense, I tell you, I think has done the best job against the Permian rushing offense of any team we've seen this year. That includes defenses like Lee and defenses like Hooper.
I think you're right, Barry. I really do, and I haven't made out why that's the case. Again, the only reason I can give is quickness, and I say it so much because I can't figure out anything else.
Permian now with 2nd and goal from the 3. Williams, I tell you, the penetration is just killing Permian in the backfield because as the ball is pitched back, he has absolutely no place to run. You can credit that to the defense as much as you can discredit the offensive line, but I tell you, this Coronado defense certainly is winning the battle so far, as that is no gain, and now Permian facing a 3rd and goal from the 3. And really, Rick, I think you got to come away with 7. Sheldon Bass comes trotting off the field. That means both tight ends will be in the ball game. You have Waters and you have Garrett, and Permian waltz the 6. But they're not going to get it.
A little bit surprised. They've tried twice up the middle, was not successful. A 3rd time, I'm not sure I wouldn't have tried around the end. That hadn't been too successful, but something different. The defense for those Mustangs has really blocked up the middle for them. So what do you do now?
Well, Permian, after a 1st and goal from the 5, only able to get 3 yards in 3 plays, and that's something very un-Permian-like. And now Eric Stevenson has trotted on the field, had a career-best 41-yarder going the other direction just a moment ago. Chance will push it back to Molina. Molina will set it down, and Stevenson will kick it through.
Very good kick.
Eric Stevenson with his 8th field goal of the year puts Permian on top. It breaks the tie with 2:21 to play before half. Our new score, Permian 13 and Lubbock Coronado 10. Now the Permian drive, 3:07 as far as time's concerned, serving 7 plays and 22 yards. But if I'm a Coronado defender, I'm going to be very happy at only giving up 3 points instead of 7 when Permian had a first and goal for the 5.
Very much so. They should be proud of themselves to be able to stop this very, very strong offense.
Now, once again, let's see if Coronado goes with a star return. Again, they elect to kick it to Cunningham on the side. And Cunningham blasted to the turf by Jones. Brito is hurt down to the 19-yard line for Permian.
That was a big hit on behalf of Permian to stop the runner, but they had to hit him 2 or 3 times. That quickness, all you have to do is give them something and take it away from them, and that's what's been happening. I mean, you can really fake them out if you've got that quickness.
Now, the Permian defense has played solid today. They haven't really given Coronado much to work with. Chad Reed and company, the only scorer of the day. As far as TDs has been after a blocked punt, started Coronado deep inside Permian territory at the 3-yard line. But the concern, of course, right now is Brito being tended to on the turf. And we'll take a break with 2:14 to play before half. Permian with the lead at 13-10. With the injury to Brito, C.C. Harris has checked in at a defensive back position, and Reed will go to work. Not much pressure put on. He's got a man wide open, and he drops the ball. Johnny Moss was wide open and flat out dropped the pass as Bass and Nichols were closing on him. Heard footsteps?
Well, no, I think it was a good defensive play on behalf of Bass and Nichols because he had the ball. They had to come back because he'd gotten behind him. He did a curl out and then came in behind him. Watch Bass come in at the last minute and knock it away. He just got his hand in there barely in time. Good play by Bass.
Let's check and see if, C.C. Harris is still in the ball game. Not much pressure so far today being put on Reed as he's been able to kind of dissect that Permian defensive backfield. Handoff inside to Cunningham. Jensen wraps him up. You see the 56 off the turf along with Waters, 88. Tried to catch him napping, but Permian's defensive line stepped up and made the tackle.
Everything misdirection. Everything seems to be misdirection. You don't see the old straight ahead anymore. You haven't out of this team. It hadn't been straight ahead. It's been a misdirection play, coming off, crossing over, getting behind. I think that's something they got to watch for because that's been successful against Permian before, is again that misdirection pass.
Looks like Brito has a tender ankle. He's trying to walk it off to the sideline. Hopefully we'll be able to return to play in the second half. Reed dropping back again. The pressure minimal, and he runs right in to Jensen. I take that back, runs right into Waters, and Jensen there to help him. And Permian will call a timeout with 1:15 to play before halftime, and we'll have one more crack at the ball. That time the defensive coverage was there. The quarterback had to take too much time, stepped up, and the defensive line collapsed around.
Well, he was trying to set up that misdirection pass as we talked about. And what happened is Permian's defense didn't go for it. You watch him move back. He's trying to bring him in. Can't set him up. There he is.
All right, now the punt by Reed. Gathered in by Bass at the 30. Bass needing a block, can't get it, and is wrestled to the turf at the 30-yard line. Down there quickly is Toby Scott after the 44-yard punt. And now Permian, with 41 seconds to play before half, will have to go about 70, make that 69 yards for a score. Sluggish first half, but Permian does have the 13-10 lead. This has been a very game Lubbock Coronado team that came to Odessa today.
Yeah, they said they wanted to play, and they have done that, and they've shown that they're a pretty good team. They deserve to be in the playoffs, and they've shown that so far today.
What was that quote? Coronado's confident they can make Odessa Permian disappear from the Class 5A Division I football playoffs.
Hadn't happened yet, has it?
Keaton looking for and overthrows Keltron Montgomery. Double coverage on Bass, elects to go to a secondary receiver and simply tosses it out of bounds.
A lot of pressure put on by Tony White, 242 junior coming in off of that tight end, the defensive end position. Put a lot of pressure on Keaton. Keaton knew he had to throw it quick, but he just got a little too much adrenaline working on that one.
Nick hadn't had a whole lot of time to throw today. The pressure's been there by the defensive line. They've also studied some linebackers to kind of mess up the goop a little bit. And, of course, with any quarterback, you give them time, they can pick you apart. John Williams split wide to the near side. Watch for Williams. Williams has single covers. They're looking for him. And not even close as Williams cuts inside. The ball is thrown outside. There's a play we might want to watch in the second half as John Williams tried to sneak out, had single coverage against Bobby Vaughn, but couldn't come up with the ball.
Pretty dangerous coverage go one-on-one with Williams. As you can see, Williams kind of starts angling in close to the 40-yard line, and whether that was a misunderstanding as far as direction was going to go on behalf of Williams or what, but Keaton threw it, as you said, buried to the outside.
And Keith says that Keaton's so intent on watching Williams that Bass was wide open down the far sideline.
Well, you can't see them all, guys.
Well, you can't see them all, you know. I mean, you might watch for that in the second half, and if they do the same thing again, and they'll come right back to Bass. Here's an end-around play to Keltron Montgomery. Montgomery will be short of the first. He needed to reach the 41-yard line, but is hit hard at about the 37 after a gain of only 6, and now with 25 seconds to play, Permian will have to punt. Very sluggish first half. Permian does have the lead, but certainly not been the well-oiled machine that we've seen as of late.
You know, in this beautiful, beautiful facility, there's really not much room on the sidelines as far as if you get hit and knocked out of bounds, you're going to go into something because of the shape of the field. So that's what happened to Keltron. He found himself up against the bench pretty quick on that last run.
So now Lenny, who earlier in the game had a block that led to the only touchdown by Coronado, hits this one sky high. It bounces at the 50 and is picked up by the Coronado return man trying to catch Permian napping. But Lenny down there to make sure that doesn't happen, along with Benji Garcia. And the punt was only 17, and Rickett looked about 80 yards straight up in the air, but got a great bounce inside the 50.
Well, Lenny, of course, wanted to make sure, after you've had one blocked, you want to be double sure, and he wanted to make sure he got it up high enough, and that worked for him very well.
Got to be very aware of this combination of Reed to McGrew. They've cooked up for pass plays for TDs, covering 89, 54, 43, 28 yards, and they're going for the whole thing this time. This to Barnett, going for the interception, and Permian does come away with it as Aaron Washington picks off his second interception of the year. Dangerous play, Rick, because Rutledge went up with the receiver, and I thought for a moment that Coronado came away with the pass.
Well, it went over. Rutledge kind of jumped a little too quick for it. As you can see, he's way up in front, but there's Washington to take it away. And I mean actually take it away, because I believe the receiver had it in his hands. But Washington did the smart thing and ripped it away.
Permian will only have 4 seconds to play before half. No doubt will take the knee and go to halftime with the lead. They have to talk about this one, make some adjustments in the offensive line, Rick, and find out what you can do to stop the flow of players on the defense. Keaton will take the knee, and we have come to the end of the first half. Stay tuned with us as at halftime we'll have another great performance by the Permian Panther Marching Band. At half, our score, Permian 13 and Lubbock Coronado's Mustangs 10. Play, and I guess if there was a word to describe what happened in the first half, Rick, I guess it would be out of sync.
Yeah, out of sync is a good one, and I think you'll see some possible changes. Do you think?
I would hope so.
You know?
I don't know, it just looked like to me the offense is out of sync. The defense playing good, but Keaton and the Keaton connection's a little off. Williams looks like the running holes haven't been open for him, and maybe not running as hard as we've seen in the past.
Well, you know, that's something that I think that you will see some changes. I think they have to find a way to, well, hi there, guys. I think they have to find a way to get around this quick defense. And the defense from Coronado has done one heck of a job, Barry. Better than I thought.
I think they're a lot quicker than anybody gave them credit for. In the first half, they held Permian to only 117 yards of total offense. 81 is what Coronado came up with. And 67 yards rushing for Permian the first half. That's kind of un-Permian-like.
Yeah, we've seen that by one person sometimes, you know. So it's a mixture of things, Barry. There's so much that could have come into this whole game this week, and a lot of emotions, a lot of different things that the kids had to put up with this week, and it's a wonder they've done as well as they have from what they've had to go through. But I think Coronado has played on a higher plane, I'll have to say, than what I would have expected them to be on coming into this game. So I'm impressed by Coronado. I really am.
Well, I tell you, they're a lot better, I think, than a lot of people gave them credit for. Permian and by district coming into the game today, 17-1-2. The only loss by Permian was way back in 1960. And they tied Sherman in 80 and Louisville in 81. And really, by district's been a foregone conclusion for Permian through the years.
It's almost been a given, you're right. And sometimes you start taking that for credit. I don't think, for granted. I don't think that's happening tonight. I think it's just two good teams out here wanting the end result of a win.
All right, and the Panthers coming back on the field. They have the 13-10 lead. 2 quarters away from seeing who advances to play El Paso Coronado next week. At sites and dates to be determined. The goal for Permian, I think, in the second half, Rick, is to establish something offensively. The only points for Permian really came because of good plays by the defense to set up the offense in great field position. There's been no great drive, no consistent drive, at least in the first half of play, but on the same side, by the same token, Permian's defense has allowed only the one TD was after a block punt, and they only had to go 3 yards for that after blocking it, recovering it back in the Permian 3.
But Coronado has one long sustained drive, if you call it that, as compared to what Permian has been able to put together, and did that through a combination of some nice runs, but passes as well. And that's what this team is known for. So I'm expecting a totally different look out of this Permian team coming up in this second half.
Well, here's the Permian offense that will take the field in the second half. Keaton, of course, the quarterback. Pinkstaff and Williams. Pinkstaff had a great first half. Got great rush for 51 yards unofficially. Bass and Montgomery look for a great second half from Bass. Here's the offensive line. Led again, of course, by Chance in the middle, Jensen and Kane flanking him, and then Couch and Burmis and Elder. Burmis and Elder kind of flip-flop drive to drive. Garrett will be the tight end. Waters also playing that position. Montgomery, as Coronado elects to kick away from Sheldon Bass for good reason, to open the second half in Permian now after the return out to the 18. We'll have first crack here in the third quarter, and the clock didn't start. It still shows 12 minutes to play, and that ain't right.
It was real quick, though. It happened quick, Barry.
It was a lot quicker than I figured.
You're right. They did kick away from Bass. They don't want him to handle the ball. They've seen that twice, and the results of that have not been good for Coronado.
Well, the clock still shows 12 minutes to play, and that will have to be adjusted, or Permian's going to come away with about 5 extra seconds. Permian now with 1st and 10. Have to get something going in the running game, and Pinkstaff sheds the first attempt at a tackle and able to break across the 20 before Tony White drags him to the turf.
I think something that we saw there was the Pinkstaff had the blockers in front of him. The blockers went through the hole, closing in behind the blockers very quickly were the Coronado defensive line.
Coronado's defense led by Price in the middle and linebacker Cothran 33, Pittman 52, the other linebackers. Jones and White, the defensive ends, Smith and Taylor, the defensive tackles, McDonald and Barnett, or Vaughn on the corners, and McGrew going both ways with McCulley will be the starting safeties. The gain was about 6, and Williams finally breaks through, able to pick up some yards, comes up, looks like he stung just a bit, but this carry will be across the 30. Gain of 10 for John Williams, whose biggest gain of the first half was only 6. He gets this one all the way out to the 31. Gain of 10 for a Permian first.
Watch the hole open up here, though, Barry. We're seeing a little more offense here. See that? I mean, they were blocked down, and there's the hole of past games that we've seen.
All right, full house backfield as Bass is split wide left, and here's Williams. Williams breaking across the 35. Only a saving tackle by, I believe it's Udo Ema, or is that number 10 who was not identified on the program? No, that's number 30. That's Price on the turf. Price got a hold of an ankle, and the gain was out to the 37, a gain of 6 for John Williams, but already looks just a little bit better. Maybe they made some blocking adjustments. Are getting John through the hole just a bit quicker. And, of course, with any running game, it's going to open up your passing game the better you can run. Pinkstaff up the middle. There's a battle that I guess will be probably called a draw between Pittman and Pinkstaff. Pinkstaff's not really, doesn't really have a lot of weight on those bones, 168 pounds. He's going up against Pittman, only about 163, but did a pretty good job on him.
Closed real quick. Closed very quick on him again. As I say, it's kind of like a wave. You know, there's a big opening and then the wave closes in behind you. This is closing real quick. And Pinkstaff, of course, went head on with him. And like you say, he's only carrying 168, but he plays a lot heavier than that most times.
Well, a very important third down as Permian has the first chance here in the third quarter to get something rolling. It's 3rd and 3. They must cross the 41 for a first. Williams has what's needed before he is shoved back. It's going to be awful close. They're going to probably have to call out the change as Williams was able to blast through, and the official does say first down Permian. Move the chains, start a new set.
Good. That's the kind of momentum that needs to continue. Permian needs to sustain a drive, see that it can be done. They've had a lot of 3-and-out downs, sessions that they've had to put up with in the first half.
Something else you got to be concerned about. Permian had 6 unofficial first downs in the first half, same for Lubbock, Coronado, but Permian had 2 penetrations to 1 unofficially. This one intended for, but just a bit overthrown, intended for Bass as he cut out and up. Ball thrown just a little tall, a little hard, couldn't bring it down to him.
What I saw on that play that kind of it still amazes me is the quickness of that defensive line getting off the ball. In fact, Daniel Smith, a 201-pound senior who is the right defensive, playing the right defensive guard there, is shooting. He's watching the ball and following that ball. Some way he's doing it because he hit the line as soon as the quarterback started backing away.
Now they may be teeing off on something happening in the Permian offensive front. Williams looks outside, ducks it back inside literally, has to duck under the attempt at a tackle by number 53, Shane Mackey, who's a sophomore linebacker, and they bring him to the ground after a gain of only 2. Permian now facing a 3rd and 8 and need to reach inside the Coronado 48. They want to keep this drive going.
Pressure of Keaton that he's feeling is trying to stay in that pocket, and that pocket is collapsing very quick on him. He doesn't have a whole lot of time to make sure of his pass. He's having to rush him.
Cody Kidd split wide left inside of him as Montgomery looking to Bass quickly. Bass has it, but the block is missed by Kane, and they're trying to make the quick dipsy doodle for the play to bust him loose for a first. Doesn't work. They lose one, and now Permian will have to punt, and Lenny will be back again in punt formation. Watch as they tried to peel him back, try to block him, break him loose.
There's the block, but it was just a missed block. And I don't know if that would have made a difference because he had 2 defensive men right on top of it.
Now, this Coronado defense has done a great job of film study because they've taken away a lot of the Permian strengths as far as what they've been able to do this season. And the Permian offense just flat looks out of sync as we begin the third quarter of play. Lenny had one block that led to the touchdown in the first half, but gets away a beautiful kick back to the 16 where McGrew gathers it in. He is dangerous. You must grab a hold of him and hold on, and Kane gets down there along with Benji Garcia after the 42-yard Lenny punt. There is a flag on the field, and usually on a punt return, either a clip or a hold.
Yeah, you can see the clip happen on that one. The Coronado came in behind the Permian defensive man that was down on that play, and he came in behind him and just kind of got him out of the way, you might say, but he did it from behind.
Coronado held to 23 yards rushing in the first half, also held to 58 yards passing, 18 attempts, 6 completions, 3 interceptions, and Coronado averages, let me double check my figures, I believe they average something like, somewhere in the vicinity of about 26, they average 28 passes a game, and they've already thrown, would you say 18? That tells you how they were leading when they came into the game today. They were leading toward throwing the ball against Permian.
They're sure starting deep from their own territory on this one. And again, that was because of that penalty, a block from behind.
All right, now Permian's defense has to do a great job against the Coronado offense. Little misstep in the backfield. Where's the ball? I think we lost it completely. And he has a man wide open, McGrew. McGrew has one man to beat, and the official throwing a block for him. And Rutledge couldn't catch up. This one goes 93 yards. No flags on the field. We lost the cameraman. Something happened in the backfield, Rick. They got the ball to him, and it went all the way for the score.
Well, watch Reed. He just puts it up, and behind him is the receiver. Beautiful catch because he had two defenders on him. To be able to hold on to that ball was quite a task to start with, but it was a beautiful catch with two men all over you. Of course, went all the way once he was able to shut those two.
93 yards. Permian had pinned them deep and got burned for the huge play.
Extra point is good. In fact, that had plenty on it. And here we go. As you can see, what we've had is one team go down and score, make some points, and then back comes Permian to make scores. It's happened that way twice now, but with 7:48 left in this third period of play, it is now 17 points for Lubbock Coronado, 13 for the Panthers. We'll be back in a moment.
Our pass play from the quarterback Chad Reed to his wide receiver Jimmy McGrew. Their best of the year was 89 against Friendship. Also with Connected, we told you earlier, for 54, for 43, for 28, but this one goes 93 after Permian had pinned the Coronado offense back inside the 10-yard line, and a shocker, 7:48 to play in the third quarter, and it's Coronado with a 17-13 lead. Bass will have this one from just inside the 3-yard line, gets out to the 19 and brought to the turf.
Everybody looks to Bass. You can see the whole team go to one side. If, in fact, they were able to do some of the misdirection that Coronado does sometimes, the whole team's on one side of the field. I mean, they just go towards Bass.
Yeah, Permian last week had a school record 92-yard pass play that Bass took all the way against Angelo. This week gives up the 97-yard play, and now Permian's offense that has been in a funk most of the game has to do something with it and put some points on the board. Defense's sole breakdown of the game has cost him with a 97-yard catch and run from Reed to McGrew. Boy, there's a dangerous combination.
It sure is.
This one back to Pinkstaff. Pinkstaff across the 20. Won't get much more than that. Up to the 21. The speed of Coronado, really surprising, at least to me, is Permian's running game is just about null and void.
Well, the question I have is, when they came out and had the first series of downs, took the kickoff for the second half, they were able to move at least a couple of times and get one first down. Williams was able to break loose on a couple, but it seems like this defense is able to react to those kind of things, and they're not able to do that this series so far.
Well, they haven't given up a whole lot of points the last few weeks. Permian trying to get Williams out across the corner. Needs a block, but can't get it. All John needed was one block to break him free. Coronado comes up with the ball, but they say that Williams was down. They're going to mark him down at the 24-yard line.
It was still a nice run on behalf of Williams. It took a lot for him to get the yardage he got because, like you say, if we were able to just break one person down, possibly he could have broken loose, but there were two others waiting for him, and the reaction time again, here they come up. You know, they really go to the ball very well.
This defense by Coronado has allowed 11 points a game. San Angelo Central scored 31 against them. That's the most anybody has put on the board against them. And after that San Angelo game in week 3, they gave up a total of 34 points. The next 6 games combined, that's under 6 points a game, and Permian's offense out of sync or whatever the cause may be, now will again have to punt, and Coronado's offense will have another crack at it.
I would think Lenny would need to be extra quick on this one because, again, you're down in your territory. One block punt here, as was done before, could be TD time, and two touchdowns in a row could mean some trouble.
McGrew, very dangerous. We told you earlier, took back 70 yards, won against Lubbock High last week for 70. Stands inside his 40, gathers it in at the 38-yard line. The coverage for Permian is down there, and they just swarm upon him. Chance you see on top, the punt was 37. Coming off the bottom of the pile is Garcia and also Aaron Washington. So now Lubbock Coronado, after that huge offensive play, they now have the lead at 17-13. 6:11 to play in the third. They have the lead. They have the ball back. Reed, number 14, the quarterback, Cunningham, and Udo Ema, number 20. You'll see both of those in the backfield. This is Udo Ema. Ema just kind of hugging back there behind his line, sees a break and breaks up free before Couch able to come up. Hamilton got a little stinger on his shoulder this week, and in place of him, you see Couch playing somewhat this afternoon. The gain, though, was 6, and now 2nd and 4.
Straight up the middle, following your blocks, just kind of working the seams. And that's what they've done so well so far, just finding where's their little open space. That's all they need is a crack.
Reed has had just about all the time he needs today. He tries for a man over the middle, intended for Moss, had him open. His pass was back in pass coverage. You see Cooney also in his Permian has gone with the linebacking core and taken out Nichols and Rutledge. And the pass awry means Permian will have Coronado at a 3rd and 4. Look at the pressure. Look at no pressure whatsoever. He's got the time he needs and flat out overthrew it.
Good blocking going on by the offensive line so far, too.
Now, the Permian defense has done a great job this year of putting on the pressure. You remember against Abilene Cooper, Zach Allen didn't have a whole lot of time to pass, and that really dictated a lot of what happened in that ball game. Well, today, Reed has had a lot more time than Permian really likes. This is a screen pass. Missed tackle McGrew again breaks free, and this is going to be way enough for the first down as he is all the way down to the Permian 45-yard line. In fact, inside the 45 to the 44 and breaking tackle after tackle.
You know what? Permian read this. If you can see back, here it comes right there. It was red, but again, the quickness. He was able to stop, change his direction so quick. That's tough. Once you make your commitment as to how you're going to try and tackle him, you can't change in midair. The runner is able to do that.
Udo Ema in the backfield. Again, he slips the tackle. Cooney grabs a hold of him. He slipped through the tackle attempt of Jensen back at the 45-yard line, and Udo Ema, after the 4-yard gain, is down to the 40.
Coronado right now trying to do 2 things. One, of course, get more points on the board. It still takes at 17-13 a touchdown for Permian to get ahead. A field goal doesn't work, and eat up as much of the clock as they possibly can.
Pass is tipped, almost picked up by Aaron Washington. Cooney also had an attempt at it. There is a flag on the field. And you can see Coach Hollingshead out there. He's saying tip, tip. They're saying pass interference, but Rick, once the ball is tipped, it don't matter. You can behead the guy.
You're right.
You won't get a penalty.
It was tipped. There's no doubt. There's the signal. Yeah.
Let's watch a replay. You can see it popping up end over end.
Watch it right at the line. Here's what, see? Right off the hand.
You can pretty well skin him, skin him alive if you want.
Well, Aaron was kind of stumbling. Aaron Washington was kind of stumbling over the defender at that time because it went right off his helmet. If he was able to just keep his feet under him, that would have been the one for a touchdown.
All right, Permian's defense facing a very big play. It is now 3rd and 6 for this Coronado Mustang offense. 2-down territory. Permian digging in. Reed. Again, here's that crossing play, and he's going to be right at what they need for the first. You can see Jeff Hancock throwing his arms up saying we have what we got to have.
I think it's going to be a little short, but I think they'll go for it.
Well, I'll tell you, if it's short, it's going to be not short by much.
No, you're right.
In fact, it should be right on the money. That little crossing play has just been the death of the Panthers the last couple of weeks, whether it's the shovel pass or just a crossing pattern. This is simply just a straight screen. And running defensive Permian checks in with Couch and Cooney.
It's very difficult to pick up and see it happening because you've got a offensive person in that position before the crossing pattern happens, and then he comes across. You don't know whether he'll go straight out to the side for a quick screen or out to the side for a quick flat pass. You don't know which direction he's going to go.
It'll be about the hair on your chinny chin chin short of a first. But hey, you got the lead, 17-13. You have less than a yard, you're probably going to go for it.
I don't think there's any doubt for it. Their running game has worked pretty well so far in this drive, and I think they don't have any problem trying to go for it again.
Now, the first thing they'll probably try to do is draw Permian off sides, take the 5 mark off, but if that doesn't work, just have your quarterback Reed lean forward for what he needs for the first and gear it up and go. Now, something, Lubbock hadn't really used the no-huddle offense much here in the second half.
Yeah, that was the very first series of downs. You haven't seen it since.
Oh, my goodness, what a play. Tim McGrew, number 65. Now, look, They're saying the defense drew you off, but the defense can't draw you off.
How can they draw you
It doesn't work that way.
Unless he went across and touched him.
I
That
don't
would be
think
the
he
only
did.
thing that could happen.
It looked like McGrew just flat jumped the gun.
What we had?
McGrew is pointing to the defense.
Here it is.
But I don't think you can do that.
Oh, no! There was nothing to throw him off.
Cooley's saying, oh, you dirty rat.
There you go. Good call, Rip.
All right, I'll tell you, the one thing you can't have done was done, and now Lubbock Coronado, if they go for the field goal opportunity, let's see if Nicholas is in the game.
No way.
Nicholas is not in the game, and in fact, coming in is Chance Abbott.
Good job by the camera guys to catch that one. I'll tell you, that was a beauty. That really showed up what it was.
Abbott, the short man, keep your eyes on him. The deep man, it is back to Reed, and Reed does get the punt away. Permian want to be very careful and not touch him, and also get away from the ball and let it bounce. This one all the way down to the 9-yard line, but the mistake by Tim McGrew means the Permian defense has done the job. The punt was 31, and now the Permian offense, who hadn't really done a whole lot all day, will be asked to go 91 for a go-ahead score.
They've been given this opportunity because for what 1/4 of what could have been 3 inches is what it probably was. That's all that they needed to make that first down, and we're given this opportunity by Coronado being offside. So let's see if they can't make the best of it. They being the Panthers.
Permian's offense lowest output of the year, 253 in week 1 against Coronado. Had barely over 100 the first time. Williams breaks free. Needs to break one man. He has him if he can get a block. And that's McGrew. McGrew able to fight off the block of Sheldon Bass and push Williams out of bounds. But John Williams showing great balance, reading his blockers, able to break out to the 32-yard line for a gain of 23.
How he does this, I don't know. He almost lost the ball right there. A big hit on the hand. He almost lost it. He was able to stiff arm number 21 there and then still get away. And that was Cody McDonald. And still get away and get down the line. They said he stepped out a little earlier than what it looked like from up here, but needless to say, this gets him out of a big hole, Barry.
Now the 23-yard run is Williams' best of the day. For some reason, L.C. Ward had trotted on the field for Permian. He's the sophomore call-up. This is Eric Williams. That's why he trotted on, because Williams had come out. Eric Williams immediately ran on the field to spell Williams after that run, and now Williams comes back on the field, and L.C. Ward is in the backfield for Permian. He's a sophomore that averaged, I'm not going to be exactly sure about this, correct me Pete if I'm wrong, he averaged somewhere in the vicinity of 200 yards a game for the undefeated Permian junior varsity. He's the number 33 player in the backfield, does not have the Permian varsity P on his helmet, and this is Ward around the outside. Let's see what he can do with it. Ward has tremendous speed, and he is able to break out to the 38-yard line and will be short of what Permian needs for a first. That was a second down play. They're going to mark him out at the 38 for a gain of 5, and just a little nervous there in the exchange, but I tell you, he's got some jets to turn on.
Yeah, he almost dropped it right there. Of course he's nervous, but he did. He just, if he gets around the corner, forget him, because he has that speed.
Now, you might ask, what's he doing in the game at this point? Well, folks, he's played 9 junior varsity games. That means he's had a lot of game experience. Sure, it's not varsity experience, and that's a big key, but he does have a lot of game experience, and they have all the confidence in the world in him, and just Mike can break him loose. Keaton needs to have some time to throw, and the pass coverage once again breaks down. I'll tell you, Permian has not had this little time to throw the entire season. It seems like Keaton has to let it go immediately, or the coverage breaks down, and this once again happens on this particular play.
Well, he had right in his face a defensive person when he was looking to the far sidelines to try and find somebody to throw to. Right in his face was a defensive person. When he turns around and tries to run out of him, of course, he grasps him and brings him down. Not a lot of time, as you say, Barry.
All right, Lenny. Again, punting for Lenny. This is how many punts? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is his 7th punt of the day. This was kind of ugly to start off with, but he gets a great roll, and it will roll out at the 27-yard line of Lubbock.
Another nice punt by Lenny.
Lenny only had 31 punts coming into the game. That only averages out to just a little more than 3 punts per game, and already has kicked 7 times this afternoon. This Coronado defense, I think a lot of folks did not give a lot of credit to. They felt like Permian's offense could basically steamroll them. But I'll tell you, they've impressed the heck out of me.
They definitely have surprised a lot of people.
And Coronado does have the lead, 17-13. This one pitched back to Gainey. Gainey has no opportunity at all. In fact, loses the ball and only appealed back by Kevin Monroe, saves what might have been a fumble. You see Cooney coming off the bottom of the turf. And Gainey had absolutely no place to run as Permian's defense collapsed upon him.
Well, what the referee's going to say is, you see this replay, his momentum was stopped, so they felt he wasn't going anywhere. So even though he did fumble the ball, they wouldn't have counted it a fumble because they had already placed him down.
Who was that laying on the turf? Was that Waters that had his hand around his ankle?
I didn't notice it.
All right, let's see if Permian can get the pressure on him. McGrew, look at this. McGrew pops the ball up in the air and drops it. He had it. He ran with it. He fumbled it, and Permian has come up with a fumble recovery.
Big play.
An absolutely beautiful play by Jimmy McGrew. And in trying to control the ball, Rick, it was popped loose on the tackle, and Permian comes away with great field position.
Okay, watch him as he goes across the middle. He has it. Boom, 41. That's the big man that pulled it down and away from him. Keltra, he grabbed his arm and jerked it away. He couldn't hold on to the ball. He was a little unsure of himself anyway because of that pass. Big defensive play. Big defensive play.
Permian now starts from the 45-yard line of Lubbock Coronado, and John Williams has the ball popped away from him.
This is going to be a close call if they come up with the ball, whether he was down or not. He was on top of the ball.
It looked like he was moving, Rick. A lot last week.
They're going to give it back to him?
Permian came up with a great play last week defensively against San Angelo Central. And on the first play, gave it right back to the Bobcats. Permian definitely and desperately needs some kind of momentum going their way right now. It looked like Chance came up with it. You also see Keaton there on the floor. And
big decision coming up, the referees. How you going to call it, guys? You either got to be down or...
And really, a discussion on this kind of play is...
you should know one way or the other, right?
You should know immediately what happened.
They're going to give it away.
Let's watch the replay. Watch the ball come popping loose.
Yeah, he was still going. I don't think there's any doubt on that. Good hit right on the ball. Somebody had their helmet right on the ball, knocked it loose.
Well, Permian, bitten by the fumble bug the last 3 weeks, did a great job of controlling the football the first 6 games of the year, but the last 3 have had trouble hanging on to the ball at the most inopportune time. Udo Ema inside, and Eric Williams peeling back for the tackle, pushes him into the pile where Waters and Horton also are, and the game will only be a couple. Boy, Permian needed something big there, but instead gave the ball right back.
Permian defense has reacted somewhat different to that play, though, because some of the sessions before, we've seen that end open for Udo Ema, and they're closing it down where he's got to turn inside, and then they're eating him up.
Reed back to pass, has the time, has to roll as much. Here comes the pressure, trying to make it to the outside. And the pressure put on by Williams and Waters. And you see Wharton also coming up off the turf. One thing we have not touched on here in the second half is if Tito Brito has returned to the game, and he has not because C.C. Harris is still on the field.
Coverage sack, you might say, forced him to run outside. There was nobody open. If we look downfield, as we saw, they were covered.
3rd and 11. This passing offense of Coronado was giving Permian fits in the second half, and he will be stopped short of what's needed for a first. This pass completed to Johnny Moss, number 16.
It's that crossing.
It's just that crossing pattern as you try to catch him in the seam, and as he breaks free, not able to get enough for the first because the defense collapsed around him once again.
Defense, good job to hold him there, especially after that. It's sometimes very difficult after you've recovered a fumble, lose it right back, for that defense to have to go back out there and stop him again. They did an excellent job. Timeout, big
And we have come to the end of the third quarter. The only score of the quarter, the 97-yard pass play from Reed to McGrew on the Lubbock's first possession of the third quarter. At the end of 3, our score, Permian trailing in this one, Lubbock Coronado 17, Odessa Permian 13. That means Lubbock Lubbock Coronado will be kicking into a breeze that has renewed itself. A breeze kind of went away in the second quarter, but now has since returned. And Tito Brito is not on the field. He is on the sideline with a ice pack, it looks like, on his left fibula, maybe left knee, but apparently will not return this afternoon. So Permian, if they could put some pressure on the punter and come away with good field position, Rick, they really need to do something they haven't done all day, and that's establish something offensively. The defense has done a great job, but the offense hasn't held up their end of the bargain.
Nice punt away from everybody, and it's going to be dropped at about the 6-yard line. That's going to put Permian deep. That's going to mean a long drive to get some points, but I tell you, it can be very important, I think, Barry, at this time that the offense has got to show that spark and see if they can get something done.
Well, they have to do something there at the 6-yard line. Just a few moments ago, we told you, in fact, they're at the 7. Boy, in this deja vu, just a few moments ago, Coronado, the same spot with 93 with it. Permian, that was all in one play, needs to go 93 no matter how many plays it takes them, and do something offensively to put some points on the board. Williams and Pinkstaff in the backfield along with Adam Hamilton. In the 3-horse backfield, Keaton behind him. Nick Keaton, a little off today, only 49 yards passing. 5 completions and 12 attempts, and that's the first carry of the drive back to Pinkstaff. And Greg will cross the 10-yard line. In fact, it's a flat dab on the 10 for a gain of 3.
Just a slicing play right off the right side of his line. Opened up some hole, and again, closed off real quick.
John Williams, 124 yards last week. Lowest output of the year for him. He has 68 on 16 carries, on 18 carries thus far this afternoon. And again, back to Pinkstaff. Pinkstaff breaks the 20. Greg Pinkstaff to the 40, to the 50, to the 40, to the 35. Grabs a hold of the ball to protect it and is pulled down to the turf at the 30-yard line. A 50, 60-yard run up from the 10 to the 30. At 60 yards for Greg Pinkstaff. They're going to mark it down at the 31. Making a 59-yard run by Rick's favorite player.
Watch that hole. That hole was wide open. Pinkstaff, he just didn't quite have the speed as this little guy coming up there. Who was that? I couldn't catch number. Is that number 11? I believe that caught up with him. That's Jim McCulley. He's a 150-pounder. Not a whole lot left once Pinkstaff got through there. But still, now's the time.
Pinkstaff a bit winded. He's over 100 yards on the afternoon at 110. His first 100-yard day as a Permian player. And now Williams one-on-one against McDonald. McDonald brings him to the turf. I was about to say that L.C. Ward had checked in for Pinkstaff, but had to be winded after that run. Bad knee and all, and I tell you, he hooked it down the field.
Watch this one as Williams tries the center line. Stopped up there. One man left. He'd got around that. He'd gained at least another 10 or 15 yards because he at least had the ability to get deep enough into the backfield before the safeties had to make the stop.
Greg Pinkstaff has checked back into the game. They have the tight offensive set in with Montgomery in his pass protection. Looking deep. He has Sheldon Bass, and Bass had a hold of it and then had it bounce off the defender's shoulder pads. That was Bond back in defense for Lubbock Coronado. And I thought for a second there that Sheldon was going to come away with the ball.
He had the opportunity, but the pass, it hangs up quite a bit. The defender just happened to come in time. The defender never looked. Vaughn never looked back at the ball whatsoever. He was watching Bass all the way. And Bass turned around, went up to get it. He got his hands on it, but then Vaughn's hands went up and knocked it out.
Yeah, Nick was 4 of 9 for 50 in the first half. 5 of 13 now for 49 yards because they lost 1 yard on one pass completion earlier. Permian now facing a very important 3rd and 8. And he has what he needs as Sheldon Bass is down to the 17-yard line. This will be a gain of 12.
That had the look of past games there, that Sheldon knows where he's supposed to go to get that first down, and just far enough. And here he goes. I think Sheldon kind of thought he was going to get hit, though, because he ducked, see? And the guy missed him altogether, and of course Bass went down with it.
Sheldon now 5 catches and 46 yards this afternoon. More importantly for Permian, 9:54 to play in the 4th quarter. Permian moving with the wind at their back, have a 1st and 10 now from the 17. Pink step inside. Oh, man, if he was able to break the line of scrimmage, he might have gone all the way.
He just got tripped up barely, and he had that same hole open. It's the same play broke out of, I believe, before. It was just to the opposite side this time.
Checking back out will be Hamilton, and incoming will be Montgomery.
Now watch it open up. Look at how big that is. See, but he gets hit right there, and it was by his own man, I believe, trying to get up and help him block. I couldn't tell. There may have been a Mustang underneath that tripped him up.
Big staff, 10 carries, 114 yards, and of course the big one that set Permian up where they are right now, a 59-yard run.
Nice tackle by the Mustangs. I mean, they took his legs out from him that time. That's the only way you can stop Big Step.
Permian dropping to the conservative route with 2 run plays after a 1st and 10 from the 17. This will be marked down at the 11, and Rick, they need to reach the 7. That means it's a 3rd and 4. Cody Kidd, J.C. Kidd will check into the game. Big play for the Permian offense, a big play for the Coronado Mustang defense. Mustangs have the 17-13 lead. A field goal will bring Permian within 1, but they need a touchdown to go ahead. He needs the time to throw. Here comes the pressure. Intended for Kidd. There is a flag on the field. They say the defensive man got there too quickly, and you can see the way that McCulley reacted. He knows he knows he got there too quickly. That means the pass interference call will give Permian a 1st down.
Well, let's see if we can see it with the pass. Yeah, he had a hand on him as he tried to knock that away. And there's nothing wrong with trying to get in front of that receiver. But what you do is, and what the defensive man has a tendency to do, is when you're trying to get in front of him, you put your hand on him and bring him with you. And that's what they said happened there. So here's the new life right here, and we'll see what happens.
Permian had the same opportunity earlier. They had a 1st and goal from the 5 with about 3 minutes to play in the 2nd quarter. And 3 running plays gathered them a grand total of 3 yards. Had to settle for a 19-yard Stevenson field goal. They need to get to 6 now.
Big 1st down. 1st and 5. 1st and 5. And they've got to have it.
Permian's long score, a 38-yard Greg Pinkstaff run. And Permian needs Pinkstaff or Williams or Keaton or somebody to get in the end zone now.
Not much on that one. Not much on that one. Again, you're going to watch this defense just stack it up, and it may be if they could do a fake into the line, that sure might open up the defense that's going to pull them in, because they're reacting so quick to the running backs. It may be they pull them up and open up a receiver.
Well, also that play action pass can freeze them, as Rick said, just enough to sneak a pass into them. But that the pressure on the passer Keaton has been relentless this afternoon, and you can ill afford a sack in this position. Williams up the middle, he fires, will break into the end zone. John Williams, his 21st touchdown of the year, 52nd of his career, and John Williams' touchdown run puts Permian up 19-17 with a very important extra point to come.
Watch him go right up the middle, and I mean right up the middle. And this is one of the first times. I mean, it was just 4 yards, but that's been tough 4 yards for him to make all night. But the blocking was beautiful. I mean, that offensive line was out there. They were blowing everybody off that time. Important point, though, here.
Stevenson nails through his 38th consecutive extra point and puts Permian on top with 7:46 to play. Our new score, Permian 20 and Lubbock Coronado 17. The Mustangs went 93 on 1 play early in the 3rd quarter. Permian has gone 93 on 9 plays. The big run that set them up was the Greg Pinkstaff 59-yarder from Permian's 10-yard line to the Coronado 31. John Williams has capped it with a 5-yard run. The 9-play, 4-minute and 4-second drive, most importantly, has put the Panthers on top 2017. And Rick, let's watch out for that star return, because the starburst return has really given Permian fits this afternoon.
And it looks from the back, that's the way they're set up to try that, too. They're going to take it to the short man if they can get it away from him, but yeah.
Here they go.
There it is.
The man in the middle has it. He hands it off, number 24, Gainey. And Gainey sidesteps the The attempted tackle, I believe, by Aaron Washington, but Washington gets just enough. He and Benji Garcia to push the man out of bounds. Gainey, a world-class sprinter on the 220 and the 440 relay team, and hadn't really done enough to hurt Permian this afternoon, but I tell you, that was awful close.
This is a big session of downs for the Permian defense because there's still a lot of time left, but they really want to shut them down as soon as they can, get that ball back and try and put a little extra points on the board.
Permian needs to put some pressure on Chad Reed as the quarterback. Reed has a man wide open. This is Johnny Moss, and Moss fights out of the attempted tackle by Nichols and will cross what appears to be the 40. He's all the way out to the 41. It's a first down after the gain of 11.
You had Nichols going for the ball once he was stopped and held up. Nichols went after the ball and tried to break that loose. And there he was fast and wasn't able to help bring him down. He was able to pick up another 2 yards to gain that first down, and that's another big first down.
Now, Coronado has not been able to mount a drive of any substance. They didn't have the big 93-yard play for the TD. Udo Lima now with the run. There is a flag, a late flag flying in, as Garrett, haven't called his name an awful lot this afternoon, important, come up to grab a hold, but Rick, that's usually an area where you're going to get a holding penalty against your offensive line.
I think that's right, and who walked up right then was I believe it was number 84, and that would be Nichols, Dustin Nichols, a 169-pound senior, and he went up to the ref when he saw the flag come in, and it's not like you try and hide it, because he didn't hide it. It was like, I didn't do anything, ref, and the ref didn't say anything, but he must have been the one.
Now, Coronado, that's their fifth penalty this afternoon for 41 yards. Permian has been whistled 3 times for 20. Really a fairly clean play ball game. Of course, I think the biggest penalty of the game so far was the pass interference penalty on third down for Permian a moment ago that gave them first and goal at the 5-yard line. Definitely big.
And this could have been a big one. A lot of yardage.
The mark-off was 10. They're going to try to catch Permian in a pass defense as Udo Lima, what a name, tries to cross the 35 and does. In fact, he's out to the 38. And if you can get 7 yards on first down, I think you can make your coach happy every time you try. 39 yards and 8 carries. And Udo Lima, even though this offense does not pass very often, does have the 2 big TD runs for Coronado. 43 yards against San Angelo and 27 against Tascosa. If you overplay the pass, Rick, that run can hurt you if you've got a speed demon in the backfield. Not much pressure. Here comes Garcia late. And Eric Williams has a hold of, oh my goodness. You can almost get a flag on that one because he did cross the sideline, but I think he tried to back off as he grabbed a hold of him. You can see Tito Brito there. He looks like he won't be back this afternoon, but some good pressure put on by Garcia and again by Eric Williams.
I thought Williams had him. He just couldn't quite get, he had the angle on him, but he just couldn't quite hang on. The pressure was there, though, and this is a big third down. What, third and 12?
Right, he gained 1. They have to reach inside the Permian 49 for a first down. Third and a long 12. In motion, you've got to watch McGrew. Here is McGrew. He's going back across the field, and he drops the ball. That crossing pattern, you see Tommy Jones, 28, coming up quick, as Permian was spying on the receiver as he came back across. Permian, Rick, had him to pitch perfectly. Even had he caught the ball, I think they would have got it.
I think you're right. They were ready for this as they saw that coming. See, they were closing in real quick, but I think McGraw heard him coming. Because you haven't seen him drop one all day.
5, 4,
right. Here they come.
Snap back, but the kick is away. It was a lousy snap, but the quarterback punter, Reed, does get it away, and it will be tagged down to the Permian 28-yard line. Now Permian has the lead with 6 minutes and 10 seconds to play. You want to try to use as much clock as you can. Be great if you can get some points on the board. But the most important thing, Rick, is you got to use up clock and make the other team trailing in the game have to do something quickly.
Well, the minimum you want at this time is to eat the clock. The second one is to get in field goal range, if that's as far as you can get, because this 3-point difference right now, the way that the Coronado kicker was kicking earlier, had plenty of room. They could tie that up real quick, but you want to put it away now. Eat it up and drive it down.
Permian with a first down play has John Williams trying the perimeter. Williams stiff arms the man and grabs a hold of the ball, almost as it bounced loose from him. The gain is nothing as they strung him out, and Permian now faces 2nd and 10.
Williams has been having a little trouble hanging on to the ball, and I think a lot of it has been he loses it sometimes when he hits the ground. So it's going to be a close call, and it's up to the official if the ground caused it or what. But that time, the ground caused it to get loose from him, but he hung on.
Permian has only allowed 15 fourth-quarter points. Odessa High had 8. Midland Lee scored 7. That's been the only opponents to score on Permian in the fourth quarter of this season. Fourth quarter is also Permian's second-best offensive quarter. But this one, just a simple pitch back to Pinkstaff, trying to catch him again napping as they probably focused on Williams, and Pinkstaff able to cross the 30 up to the 32 for a gain of 4.
It looked like Nick Keaton was trying to, he saw something, he thought that maybe that changing that play to have Pinkstaff go offside as he has done before, and a very nice run, of course, to help set up that last touchdown. But that time it just didn't work as well. Again, they seem to have big third down plays with a lot of yardage. They're not getting a whole lot of yardage in those first 2 downs.
Well, of the 110 points given up by Coronado this year, 44 of them have been given up in the fourth quarter, and that has been their most porous fourth quarter, the most porous quarter of the 3.
Look at that. Look where he's barking at, right at the flag. Did Bass know where he was or
look
what?
at Keaton. They're going to look and see where they marked it. Where they mark it, it is enough of the first. He's saying, sir, would you move out of the way? So I look at the chain. Look at it. The guy won't move for nothing.
There it is. Call
First
it.
down. What's the official in the NFL on Sunday?
Yeah.
First down.
Yeah. He's calling it, I'll tell you. A big first down play, but Bass was right where he needed to be. I thought it was going to go away. If you see, look how he caught it. They say he stepped right on the line right there. I don't know how he caught it to start with. That was a beautiful play.
That was a gain of 5 for Sheldon. And he has 52 yards on 6 catches. They've done a number on him this afternoon. Sheldon Bass really not able to break free, just like John Williams, really, other than one big run, not really able to break free this afternoon. But here is Williams. Williams has his balance, has it. He needs a block. And Bass able to push the man away from him as John Williams will cross the 50-yard line. Williams getting congratulations from Keaton as John Williams is out to the 50 for a gain of 13.
This is what Permian needs to be doing. Watch the replay on this as you'll see. Again, now Williams does a lot of this on his own. Here he comes in. There's a big hole, though, for him. Now he gets away from that tackler, shuts him off. Bass is pushing his man down, goes out of bounds. The clock runs. It's stopped now for going out of bounds, but they're moving the ball. That's what they've got to continue to do, control the ball.
Now the gain was 14. They're going to mark it at the 49-yard line, so the gain was 14. Williams has not been held under 100 since the playoff game against Amarillo last season. At 100 in each game this year. Williams trying the tough yardage inside, the gain of only 1.
That is very tough yardage. It has been all night. The only time that has really worked for him well, going straight up the middle, was when he carried it into the end zone.
How much time we have? 4:18. In fact, the clock is moving. 4:17. The only play really that the Permian defense has given up today was that big 97-yard, 93-yard bomb. Other than that, they've done a great job of taking care of Chad Reed, Jimmy McGrew and company. In fact, that's been the only damage at all is the Reed to McGrew connection. We're going to have Keith check on the statistics for Lubbock here in just a moment. We're going to see what the defense has done, but Permian simply trying to keep the ball on the ground, use the clock inside at 3:45 now, and the gain down to the 45. Permian with a 3rd and 6.
Well, one more first down could sure put this out of reach for them if they can hold on to that ball, but they've got to get this first down. I'm sure that if they can't get it, they're going to punt and keep them back in deep if they can, but you don't want to happen what happened when Coronado scored. That was that 93-yard or 92-yard touchdown, and it can't happen. So no matter how deep you get, they're still potent offense.
Now, Chad Reed is 12 of 27 for 202 yards this afternoon, and the 202 is most of the damage in the 242 given up.
Oh, beautiful.
Williams has J.C. Kidd in kid with a 15-yard gain down to the 30-yard line. 3:02 to play. The clock will stop after the move of the chains, but just a great job of running the route and keeping finding the wide open man.
Well, Kid did a beautiful job. He curled in right under him and opened himself up like you wouldn't believe. Look how open. They were about 3 yards off of him. Kid had him so messed up as to where he was, he just brought himself open. In fact, I don't think Keaton could believe it when he looked downfield and saw him.
Other than that 93-yard pass play, Permian has held this offense to 149 yards of offense. Hinkstaff just darn near broke it free for what might have been another score. Rick, all he had to do was break through Toby Cothran's attempted tackle, but Cothran able to hang on. I tell you, Greg, he uses every body part as he tries to get through the line and just darn near breaks it
That's
through.
why we call him swivel hips. Look at him move. He's running. He's a hard runner. He has to use everything he can to gain what yardage he can. He doesn't necessarily have the speed or the bulk that Williams has to help him out. He's got to work for it.
Hinkstaff 126 on 14 carries this afternoon. A 59-yard run by Greg put Permian in position for the go-ahead touchdown, and they lead 20-17 as the clock is ticked down to 2 minutes to play. Hinkstaff will have the first as he breaks across the 20 to the 19. I tell you, Greg Hinkstaff is running his heart out. Best job of running by that young man I've seen all year, and I tell you, I haven't seen a game when he didn't give his whole heart.
Was it not reported that he was somewhat injured? I would hate to see the boy at full go, you know?
And Lubbock Coronado has to think about this one. They've called a timeout. Butch Henderson's club came to play. Permian only leads it by 3, but Permian controls the game and the clock at 1:58 to play. We're going to take a timeout from Ratliff. The score is Permian 20, Lubbock Coronado 17. As we return to play, 1:58 to play in the game, and Permian with a 20-17 lead. Hinkstaff 131 yards unofficially on 15 carries. Williams unofficially 24 for 91, and Williams' biggest gain was a 23-yarder early in the third quarter as Coronado's spying on the defense has really kept Williams bottled up most of the afternoon. Now the number that's been working for you, look at Hinkstaff drive the legs inside the 15 to the 14, a gain of 5. Just like Old Man River, roll, clock, roll. Down to 149, 145.
Looking for it to roll. I think the Coronado only has 2 timeouts, and it looks like they're going to use another one now to stop it. That'll leave them only 1 left in this game, and with a minute 42 left, Barry, they can run it out with only 1 timeout left, you know.
The Permian needs, they put a TD on the board. If they put a field goal on the board, they will lead by 6. TD will put it out of sight at 27-17. A tough game for Permian this week. Tough game for Permian today, and a lot of things to think about, Rick, I'm sure, and I'm sure that had some effect on the Panthers early in the game and maybe has carried throughout the ballgame.
Well, they may have come in a little too high, Barry, for this game because they wanted to do it so bad after everything that's gone on, but I think they've shown their true self. If they can keep this game down now, they can't make a mistake. A minute 42 with this team, Coronado, there's no telling what they might do. But with 1 more timeout, if we can just keep it on the ground, next play up would be a 3rd down. You can still eat up a lot of time.
As we go back to play, 1:42 is what we have remaining in the ball game. Permian with a 3-point lead. They control the clock. They control the ball. They control the scoreboard as they stand now at the Coronado 14. This drive started back to the Permian 28 with 6 minutes and 10 seconds to play. And John Williams will break free. Williams has 1 man to beat, keeps his balance. Williams powering down to the 2-yard line for the 12-yard gain. And that'll be enough to put John over the 100-yard mark. And I tell you, that was a great job of running and just a super job of balance by John Williams.
Oh, I can't believe he was able to stay on his feet. I mean, he was hit and knocked off and knocked down almost twice. Let's watch it on the replay. Watch him go outside. There he's got a man on him. There he almost got knocked down. Still going strong, stiff arm. This guy couldn't tackle him. He had to throw him out of bounds. They're there. They can feel it.
Now McGrew tried his hardest to get Williams down to the turf. Permian over 300 yards in the afternoon, 317 unofficially. 1:35 to play. Permian knocking at the door, needs 1 more score, and Williams is into the end zone for the Permian touchdown.
Lock it up, baby. Turn out the lights. The party's over. 1:31 left. We now got 26-17 for the Panthers. That's the one they needed. This game is gone to the house. Here comes the replay. Watch him. He's going through. He's just going to try and jump over. He does with the help of one of his players. I can't tell who that is on the ground there, but he helps him go on in for that touchdown. Williams again. That short yardage man goes in, gets the extra points that are needed. 26-17. Here comes the extra point attempt, Rick.
And Stevenson with the extra point attempt. Snap back by Chance. Set down by Molina and pushed through by Stevenson. And Permian on the 72-yard drive that ate up 4 minutes and 39 seconds and 12 plays and punched it ahead of this ball game 27-17 with 1:31 to play. We'll return to Rattler Stadium in just a moment of the fourth quarter of today's ball game. Permian took it 93 yards. Williams with a 5-yard run pushed Permian ahead 20-17. The defense stopped Coronado when they had to, and then Permian took it 72 yards for another John Williams run, and now have this one in hand at 27-17. The offense, much maligned throughout most of the ball game, came through with two great time-consuming drives when it was most needed.
They always seem to come through when they're needed.
8 minutes and 45 seconds consumed on those two drives by Permian when they needed the scores the most. And now Permian is 1 minute 31 seconds from advancing to play El Paso Coronado at a time and date to be determined. By the time you see this replay on K-West News West 9, you will know when and where. And, of course, they also have a big day in El Paso prior to the game next week, and that's in the courtroom Wednesday or Thursday. This one will start at the 20-yard line for Coronado. The Permian defense has to do the job one more time. Tito Brito, as we mentioned earlier, injured early in the game. C.C. Harris has played most of the second half, if not all of the second half, and done a great job. This one picked off by Rutledge, his second interception of the game, and McGrew able to hang on to it. Looked like a center fielder back there waiting for a high pop-up, and able to come up with the INT. That's the fourth kickoff of a pass for the Permian defense this afternoon.
I'm somewhat astounded that he threw it that bad. I mean, I'm sitting here trying to figure, he's got to throw, but that was 5 yards over. And a beautiful, catch by Rutledge. I mean, it wasn't anything out of the ordinary, but he was there, and it was right in his hands. That kind of shocks me a little bit after everything we've heard about Reed.
Well, let's thank some people. Cameron Kirkland, our grip this afternoon. Also our camera work, Larry Shackelford, Perry Berryhill, the Wonder Llama. Clifford Faggett does all of the camera work down on the field, guys. Done a great job this afternoon. Bob Bailey, our director, and Debbie Bailey doing our instant replay work this afternoon. Here is John Williams. John Williams to the 30. John Williams to the 25. Turn on the jets, John, to the 10. To the 5. Touchdown, Permian.
Pile it on.
Hello, Mama. Can you bar the door? We're going to El Paso.
Pile it on. Keep piling it on. Don't ever give up until it's over. Look at him hold on to that ball. Williams is holding on to that ball. He said, "No, you're not getting this. This one's mine." Watch him go through.
I'll tell you after the play, Rick. Look at this. Look at this job.
He just breaks through, cuts outside. Now he knows he's got him. Even though they got the angle on him, he still runs over him. Look at that.
Oh, man. What a great job of using the sideline, using that speed. Williams, the great back that he is. I'll tell you, he's not going to let go of that pick for nothing. He really knows he's had to work hard this afternoon for that one. John Williams bottled up much of the afternoon, but came through much like the entire offense when it was needed most. Eric Stevenson with his fourth consecutive extra point of the afternoon now puts Permian ahead 34-17 with 1:14 to play, and we'll keep it here. Rick, around the state, they're going to look at the score in the paper tomorrow and say, Permian 34, Lubbock Coronado 17. Big surprise, but I'll tell you, that score not indicative of the job that this Coronado defense did for most of the afternoon.
Not at all. I was thinking the exact same thing. This score does not show what went on in this game. They scored those two touchdowns. When you've got two touchdowns in the last 2 minutes of the game, that doesn't tell you what went on. And like I say, I'm still impressed. I don't care what happens, the outcome of this game. I'm still very impressed with this Lubbock Coronado team. They surprised me. I think they surprised Permian somewhat, that they were able to do what they could do.
I don't think there's any doubt they surprised them.
The thing that I asked you, Barry, before is, again, you and I followed them all season long, and I have yet to see that Permian is not able to dig back into something, grab a hold of it, and come out and get that extra, whatever it is, magic dust, whatever you want to call it, and come out ahead in most of their games. Do you have an answer to that one?
No,
What it is?
Most people are going to say, well, folks, I guess that's what Mojo Magic is, but I think it's preparation. I think it's conditioning, and I think it's reaching back into your history and saying it's been done many times before, guys, that they can do it. We need to do it to uphold the tradition. And I think that has a lot to do with it. I'll tell you a funny story about that in just a moment. This kick fumbled by Cunningham back at the 2. He tries to return it out across the 10. And Adam Hamilton there on the turf. Permian has scored 3 fourth-quarter touchdowns on a 93-yard drive, a 72-yard drive, and a 37-yard one-play drive. Last year, Texas Tech playing TCU. TCU's gone ahead late in the game like they always do. In this particular game, back and forth, back and forth. The Tech offense comes back on the field. Lloyd Hill, former Permian standout, gets in the huddle. One of the offensive linemen looks at Lloyd and says, Lloyd, whatever that mojo stuff is, we need some now.
Yeah, now's the time.
And he caught a TD pass to win the game for him.
I'll be. Oh, gosh.
Udo Ema with the carry. Udo Ema will cross the 20 out to the 23. He's been a thorn in the side of Permian this afternoon. In fact, Udo Ema 49 yards on 9 carries. Done most of the damage. Permian has 2 backs over 100 for the first time this year. 142 for Williams, 136 for Greg Pinkstaff. And the running game opened up. What Permian had to do to get some points on the board here in the second half. And I think greatly responsible the blocking up front of Burmis and Kane and Chance and Jensen and Couch and Garrett and Elder. They've done a great job here in the second half of making some adjustments.
Watch Garrett come back and help break up this pass. They have double coverage on the receiver. There it is, reaching in with his hand and almost getting it as Montgomery off at the bounce.
Yeah, the quarterback, Reed, has thrown for over 200 yards this afternoon, and Permian has got to be flat sick and tired of that play. Yeah. As you can tell with Sheldon Bass, he says, fine, you catch it. I'm tackling you there at the 20-yard line.
They did it once. They went to the barrel, as they say, once too many times. They finally
barrel's been pretty darn good to them.
Yeah, it has. But they're finally reading it.
Yeah, Permian allowed 149 yards passing to Amarillo way back in week 3. This afternoon, 198 after that loss by Chad Reed. And Reed trying to sneak the ball into his kicker and wide receiver Nicholas. Has it batted away as Harris and Jones in there defensively, and there comes Rutledge to help him out. But I tell you, this kid's been pretty awesome this afternoon, but the defense has bent just a little bit, broke only the one time.
You're right. They've been there. They've been steady Eddies, you might say, and they are always there when it comes down to the play. They make them.
No, the only other score for Lubbock, other than that 93-yard pass play, was a 3-yard pass, and that was after a blocked punt. Set Coronado up inside the Permian 5-yard line. Look at this. Was he out of bounds? They say yes.
He had one foot in and one out.
Rutledge tried to come up with the interception down at about the 40-yard line, but all for naught. And the cheering squad goes running through the stands of the Pojo with his Mojo 7th flag over Texas.
That's called excitement.
I get my tank total. Sorry.
Yeah, that's called excitement.
Well, the Lubbock Coronado Mustangs came to Odessa, had to play at Ratliff, had to play one of the best teams in the state of Texas. Did one heck of a job against Permian for most of the game, but Permian has come through when it most mattered, and now Permian, with 15 seconds to play, will probably do the classic thing, take the turf and go home with a victory. Molina in with Ross. He will pitch it back. Well, Molina's going to carry it. Lucas Molina to the 18, and that should be the last play of the game. 7 seconds. 6, 5, 4, 3. Permian in my district play moves to 18, 1 and 2. Overall playoff record, Permian's 69th playoff victory in their history, and here at Ratliff, 18 wins and 1 loss in the playoffs, the only loss to Plano in 1987. Rick, what a game.
Been a good game, and we look forward to them going on as far as they can possibly go. Of course, we're hoping all the way to state.
Now, Permian with a tough week, but comes away with a hard-fought victory this afternoon over a very game. Lubbock Coronado Mustang squad. Our final 34-17 for our entire crew, including Rick Wood, our analyst, and Keith Ragland, our statistician. I'm Barry Sykes. Thanks for being with us. And we look forward to seeing you next week again on News West 9 at 10:35 on Sunday night.